subscribe, like the video, and, if possible, join Patreon. But if you don't have much money, you can support the channel by watching the novels on euroaudiobooks.com. Remember that you can participate in the polls so that your favorite novel gets published for free.
This idiot for today's competition. If he can't come on stage, we will win directly. Jido grinned, but soon his smile gradually disappeared. In the dense shadows of the spinning tops, the egg-headed man actually walked out slowly. His combat uniform became a little tattered, but surprisingly, there was no wound on his body. The spinning tops continued to attack the opponent, making dull collision sounds. Apart from scratching the opponent's clothes, it seemed to have no other effective effect. Snap! A spinning top came towards him, with its sharp ground needle aimed at Saitama's eyes, but was caught by the bald man. Then, crack! In front of Jido, he clenched his palm and then released it. The alloy spinning top that cost a lot of money to build turned into twisted debris and fell to the ground. Jido's face instantly became extremely ugly. Saitama moved again. He just kept grabbing in the same place. And then in the extremely shocked eyes of the two, those dazzling gyroscopes, the gyroscopes still flying in the air, were all caught. Then, with a strong squeeze, they deformed, twisted into pieces, and fell. Even the special alloy thimble was twisted. What's wrong with this guy? Is his skin made of steel? How come there is no injury at all? Jido was completely confused. No, impossible. My gyroscopes, he screamed in pain. As a disabled person, these gyroscopes are his capital in the arena. It can be said that without these gyroscopes, his fighting power is not even half left. High-speed rotation, tornado, gyroscope. Go to hell. Crazy Jido's whole body spun violently, with an amazing spinning effect that was several times more violent than those gyroscopes just now. With this move, his offense and defense are improved. It is also quite famous above the 200th floor. Many players were defeated by this move. My current lethality is at least 5 times greater than that of the spinning top. Let's see how you can resist it. Jido roared as he spun crazily, leaving a trace of rotation on the ground, and headed towards Saitama at high speed. Bang! Just when he arrived in front of the bald man, the boiled egg head slapped him with his palm. The spinning top as tall as a person was slapped into the ground. The floor cracked. Jido stopped, but his head had been completely slapped into his stomach, deader than dead. Ding! You killed the Sky Arena player Jido, looting entries. Ding! Congratulations on obtaining the entry Telekinesis Enhancer, Double Blue. Ding! Congratulations on obtaining the entry Battle Waltz, Double Blue. What a weakling. Enhancer Double Blue. This garbage talent can only be turned into experience points, and the disabled person's fighting skills are even more unnecessary. Can't even beat his own telekinetic beast. But we have to say that he at least contributed to the victory of his revolution and construction. He's a good man. The disabled Realvelt, who was turning the corner, witnessed everything that happened here. He was dumbfounded. Jido was his friend, so he knew exactly what level he was at. Although he was the leader of the trio, his strength was definitely not that much different from the other two. But in front of him, this seemingly harmless bald man actually broke Jido's trick with a simple wave of his hand, and even killed Jido, who was in an attacking state, turned into a spinning top. This ability alone was far superior to his own. Run! Almost after realizing that something was wrong, the wheelchair man Realvelt did not dare to stop at all and turned around to run away. Explosive force propulsion. He even focused his thoughts on the special wheelchair under him. In an instant, the wheelchair rushed away as if it had taken a strong medicine. Where do you want to go? You should be in the same group, right? Suddenly, the voice of the boiled egg head came from the front. Realvelt had a completely ghost-like expression. He widened his eyes and looked at the boiled egg head who suddenly appeared in front of him in disbelief. Wasn't this guy just behind him? And he was far away from him. Why did he rush to the front in this moment? He couldn't understand the speed difference between the two sides. But this didn't prevent him from making the best response. Get out of my way! Realvelt roared. His eyes were red now, like the roar of a no-man. It seemed that only in this way could he be more courageous. He even completely forgot that at least in front of him, there was no direct evidence to prove that he participated in this murder. It was his guilty conscience that made him admit everything in front of him. The devil's duet of the two-headed snake. The true face of the two-headed snake. Real Velt suddenly swung out two whips, biting towards the bald head like two moths. And there were a few jumping arcs on the whips. This is its real killer. This idiot didn't even choose to dodge. He is indeed a guy with a problem in his brain. Don't worry, Jido. Sadeso, I will avenge you. Real Velt suddenly felt ecstatic. This is his trump card. Many opponents above the 200th floor lost here because they didn't notice that his whip was electrified. This is a high voltage of several thousand volts. Even a tiger can be electrocuted to the ground. Sizzle, sizzle. But a scene that Real Velt will never forget appeared. The bald man in front of him didn't dodge at all, but directly reached out and grabbed his two whips. The amazing voltage flowed out instantly, making the bald man's whole body crackle, and even his torn clothes began to burn. 100% electrified. But why hasn't this guy fallen down yet? Is he electrocuted? Real Velt's mind was blank. As the owner of the Mind Beast, Liku also clearly felt this voltage. But for him, it was like being electrocuted by the spark plug of a lighter. Insignificant. Don't forget, these Mind Beasts are made of thunder mind power. Electricity is his true essence. And voltage is like water flow. It will always go to the lower place. So, what a pity. Is this your strongest move? This small current is not even enough to light a cigarette at a birthday party. Saitama, Liku suddenly laughed. Real Velt's double whips suddenly crackled, and in his extremely shocked and astonished eyes, a more terrifying high voltage surged back from the bald man's body. A shrill scream sounded. The voltage of the Thunder Beast is definitely more than tens of thousands of volts, or even 100,000 volts. Only this level of high voltage can condense into a solid without collapsing. It is precisely with the electricity that is urgently needed in the body that the remote control movement of the beast is maintained, instead of the very small distance like other beasts. Real Velt in front of him turned into charcoal, and the wheelchair under his feet was also deformed by electricity. Ding! You killed Real Velt, a contestant in the Sky Arena, and randomly looted his entry. Ding! Congratulations on obtaining Transmuter Telekinetic Talent, Double Blue, Dual-Headed Snake Devil Duet, Double Blue, Legs and Feet Disability, Blue. Ding! Legs and Feet Disability, Blue, automatically shattered. Dual-Headed Snake Devil Duet, Double Blue, automatically shattered. Ding! Transmuter Telekinetic Talent, upgraded to Purple. The voice of Tianli sounded in Li Ke's mind. Li Ke couldn't help but twitch his mouth. Fortunately, his system is humanized, otherwise he might become disabled if he had this guy's entry. However, these entries dropped from the same person can be 100% converted into experience points for other entries after being shattered, which is very nice. After absorbing a blue and double blue entries, the double fungus entry directly broke through to purple. 2.2 Purple Transmuter Telekinesis Talent. Perfect. Now Li Ke is a real hexagonal warrior. Although these two guys are just chickens. Looking at these strength training talents drawn by others, they just make up for the shortcomings that Li Ke lacks. For example, the current materialization system is still Min Shi, 100 Flowers Blade Wheel, blue. It can be said to be quite miserable, but even the blue entry can burst out in Li Ke's hands. The power is definitely not inferior to other people's gold entries. The reason is very simple. Even the most ordinary branches can play the most brilliant swordsmanship in Dugu Kyubai's hands. There is no way. Ji Ke's current accumulation is very terrifying. If these low-level entry talents are upgraded, Li Ke will be truly indestructible in the future. I really want to thank you for giving me such a big gift. As a small villain supporting role, you have done a good job. I hope you will be reborn well in the next life. Saitama said, lightly in a voice that only he could hear. The sudden sound startled some other contestants nearby, and many people even saw the tragic death of these two guys. But everyone unexpectedly chose to remain silent, just looking at Saitama deeply. The least valuable thing in this Sky Arena is human life. Stepping onto the 200th floor means that you will risk losing your life at any time. Glory and crisis coexist. At this time, in Li Ke's room, in the exclusive training ground, there was no one around. He was in a very good mood, and thunders bloomed in his palms. One by one, ideas took shape in his mind. Chapter 77. Thunder White, Thunder, Nuclear Explosion Red. Versus 2 Pillars Chidori. Possessing the transmuter talent means that Thunder's psychic power, red, can be used more perfectly. What's more, now he also has the psychic bullet gold. This means that Liku has the ability to shoot out his own lightning. Zzzzzz, a bunch of jumping arcs appeared in his palm. Before that, the only way he could use the Thunder psychic power was to integrate it into his body and continuously strengthen the cells, to produce a similar strengthening effect or an attack with lightning. But now, after obtaining Real Velt's transmuter talent, the concept is completely different. ZZ. As Liku's thoughts moved slightly around his fist, the surrounding electric current suddenly increased and instantly condensed in his palm like an electric ball, making a crackling sound. Not quite right. Cadence Chidori doesn't make this kind of sound. It's a bird-like chirping sound, not my explosion sound. Liku was a little confused, and he tried to control the form of Thunder psychic power. This is different from the chakra in the Naruto world, or in other words, the essence of telekinesis seems to be easier to control than chakra, and it is even so subtle that every trace of telekinesis can be clearly controlled. Of course, this terrifying controllability can only be achieved by the pervert Liku, which is impossible for ordinary strong men to do. Buzz, buzz, buzz. As Liku continued to adjust the form of Thunder telekinesis, there was a feeling of tuning a radio, and the sound gradually became sharper from the previous crackling. It did make a piercing sound like a chirping bird. But soon, as Liku further adjusted, to be precise, it was adjusting the frequency of the lightning. When the frequency was higher, the sound would be sharper, but if the frequency exceeded a certain limit, the sound would disappear. It was like stepping from the range of ordinary audible sound into the range of ultrasonic waves. The higher the frequency, the more terrifying the destructive power, but it was more silent. The move of Thunder Chidori was officially formed, but it was completely different from the bird-opening move used by the second pillar in the Naruto world. The Chidori of the second pillar will emit a piercing 28 scream, and there will be a trace of lightning that seems to be unable to be restrained, constantly bouncing and jumping. Such a picture is indeed very good, and it looks at least very handsome. But in Liku's hands, these lightnings have become extremely peaceful, and they have condensed into a white light ball that looks like a substance. To be precise, it should be called a thunderball. He couldn't hear any sound, but he always felt that his pupils suddenly contracted because he clearly saw that the air near the white thunderball was boiling. It's not boiling. It's like oil and water can't be fused, but the overclocking vibration effect of the thunderball is pushed out, and a weird thin vacuum area is formed. To the naked eye, it looks like this area has a slight distortion. It can actually compress lightning to this extent. It is at least 10 times, or even several times, smaller than the Chidori of the second pillar. Liku couldn't help but sigh, and began to retract the lightning power in his hand. Very amazing, because he is a real hexagonal warrior. He has large and small red and black entries. The lightning ball that has been condensed like a solid state was forcibly peeled off by Liku again. Then it turned into lightning again and returned to his body. But in the end, he still left a thunder ball the size of a rice grain. Very small. Then, go! Liku flicked the thunderball in his hand towards the target in the training ground in front of him. Because the people living here are all contestants of the Sky Arena, daily training is essential, and all contestants above the 200th floor are treated very well. Every room is equipped with a very high standard training ground. Including these targets in this training ground, other instruments and equipment are expensive and top-notch, not to mention durability. The white rice grains suddenly disappeared. It was just like teleportation. Because the thunderball has the effect of high-frequency vibration, the air nearby is directly pushed away to form a vacuum area, resulting in no air resistance at all after the thunderball is shot out. It was just a blink of an eye, and it teleported directly in front of the target. Boom, a deafening explosion sounded, and the surrounding airflow swept in all directions like a blade. The entire upper level of the Sky Arena shook violently. The target completely disappeared, and the alloy-reinforced wall behind it was forcibly blasted into a huge hole with a diameter of 5 meters. DB. Liku was stunned when he saw this scene. He had underestimated the terrifying, destructive power of this thunderball. It can be said that the Chidori of the second pillar is simply a younger brother in front of his thunderball. As for the Rasengan, it can't compare to the terrifying, destructive power of the thunderball in his hand. Real Velt is really a good person. He lit up the transmuter talent for himself. With this talent, he was able to develop such an amazing effect. Ding! Congratulations to the host for creating a telekinesis skill. Please name the skill. A voice like the sound of nature sounded in Liku's mind. Just call it 10,000 birds? Forget it. It's too weak a name. Call it White Thunder Nuclear Explosion. Liku's eyes lit up. Ding! Congratulations to the host for comprehending the new skill, Thunder White Thunder Nuclear Explosion Red. A sound like the sound of nature rang out in the mind of Summary. Then, on the entry of the attribute panel, there was a red entry, which belonged to the skill entry. Thunder White Thunder Nuclear Explosion Red description. The top telekinesis technique developed by Liku, extremely compressed lightning, with a voltage of more than 1 million volts, and his terrifying destructive power. A very simple explanation, but Liku knew that if he tried his best to perform this move, he might be able to blow up the spires of the entire Sky Arena. Comfortable. The Sky Arena is indeed a place that gives him many unexpected surprises. Brother Ku, what just happened? Sir, are you okay? Gone. Killua, and the waiter who heard the noise and rushed over pushed open the door and exclaimed. After seeing the wall in front of them with a hole blown out, everyone was stunned. Settlement area of Sky Arena. The total cost of repair is 800 million JIN, which also includes other destroyed supplies. If you don't have the money to pay for the time being, we can provide some loans. This time, the person in charge of receiving everyone was a middle-aged man, but he was also dressed in white. I'm afraid that Sky Arena also understands that there is no need to use stronger waiters to deal with those above the 200th floor. On the contrary, it is best to use this kind of waiter who looks quite weak. Liku's mouth twitched. It's so damn expensive. Just because of this new skill that I just learned from testing, I ended up paying a compensation of 800 million genie. It's over. Fortunately, everyone has passed all the previous levels of the competition, and everyone has a reward of nearly 400 million. But this has caused everyone's economy to shrink. Don't mind it, Brother Ku. Money is for spending anyway. But what did you do in the training ground, Brother Ku? You almost beat the entire training ground. So amazing. Gon had an envious expression on his face. The three of them added up to 1.2 billion in bonuses. Originally, it was said that the three of them would share it equally. But Liku thought that this matter was caused by himself. So he paid all his fines and let Gon and Killua bear part of the rest. How could a dignified time traveler have a headache because of money one day? These guys in the Sky Arena are really good, and they even provide loans. Damn it. Yeah, Brother Ku. So awesome. You using lightning? I seem to have awakened this kind of telekinesis. Kahua, can you teach me? Killua looked at Liku with shining eyes full of expectation. After this period of training, he has awakened the telekinesis of lightning in advance. No way. Killua has been beaten and electrocuted since he was a child, which makes him naturally sensitive to electricity. So by chance, he directly awakened this kind of telekinesis. Do you want to learn this trick? Well, I can try my best, but how much you can learn depends on your own ability. Let's go to the training ground. Liku smiled. After all, Killua is his lucky star. He gave him the red telekinesis entry. The Zoldyck family has been pretty good to him along the way, and now they're his most steadfast allies. It's not too much to teach him a few moves. As for how much he can learn, it depends on his own ability. I'm afraid he can't learn super moves like the White Thunder Nuclear Explosion, but maybe he can learn to use Chidori. I want to learn too. Brother Ku. Gon was also very excited. Let's go together. Liku smiled helplessly. Who made him Whale Island such a big favor? People who grew up eating at hundreds of families should not forget their roots. At the same time, Karapika is just like his original Destiny line. After the separation, he went directly to the gray area to find work and information. But he was rejected because he did not awaken his telekinesis. But his destiny is approaching him. In the Sky Arena, days passed by. Lika basically went to work every day. Either he was a telekinetic beast, and he could just move over when harvesting. It would trigger the system's entry reading or copying effect. In addition, with the blessing of the Lucky Star, he could get a designated drop. Every day was very fulfilling and ordinary. But unfortunately, even the entries in the upper level of this Sky Arena were not as good as imagined. Even Realvelt, who had 2 blue transmuter, is already considered an elite class. Every day, you get a designated telekinetic talent entry, plus some randomly looted or copied entries. These low-level talent entries are directly used to accumulate experience points. The only thing that makes Lee Ku feel better is that his luck is not too bad. In the past half a month, he has brushed a few blue materialization entries. So now his materialization system telekinetic talent, dark blue. This is the 820th entry given by the system. Add 1 more blue, and it can be directly converted to purple. Only then can it be considered a true hexagonal warrior. The so-called hexagonal warrior, at least all talents must be purple or above, right? At this time, in the training ground, Zizizizi Killua condensed a thunderball similar to Chidori in his palm, and it made a harsh chirping sound. But his expression at this moment was very uncomfortable, as if he couldn't poop in the toilet and was holding it in. Or, condensing this Chidori in his hand is for Killua's burden is still quite large. He doesn't have a perverted physique like Lee Ku, and his body is red to black, which may be a party system. Boom and Gon's shocked eyes. Killua held the dry bird in his hand, and his figure flashed like lightning. Then he pressed the Chidori directly on the target. Amazing explosion. The extremely hard target was forcibly blasted into a huge dent with a diameter of 1 meter, and in the back was forcibly pierced. The effect is also very amazing. This flip is not ordinary, but made of super alloy. The hardness is amazing. In other words, if Killua's attack just now landed on a person, it would definitely beat him to death. Good. So powerful. Gon was stunned. Even Killua himself was dumbfounded. He never dreamed that his attack would become so powerful. You know, this is a training ground above the 200th floor. It is definitely not a training ground for ordinary people. All the equipment is top-notch. He even felt that his attack this time had a chance to catch up with his old father. At least he thought so. But after this attack, Killua was sweating and panting as if he was dying. He felt completely hollowed out, and his body was almost drained dry. It can be said that this is Killua's best move, and it was developed by Lee Ku. Ku, what's the name of this move? It's so powerful. Point 11 Killua was shocked. Yeah, Brother Ku, it's too strong, but it's a pity that I don't have the power of thunder, so I can't learn this move. I envy Killua so much. Gon couldn't help but be jealous. He also hoped that Lee Ku could guide him to develop a powerful move, but now he only has ordinary power of thunder. He doesn't have a natural attribute power of Killua. In terms of power of thunder, the power of thunder is also equivalent to a genius. This move, Lee Ku stroked his chin and then said in an extremely serious tone, this move is called Earth Pillarbird. Chapter 78 Hua, Shirt Dolang, Weakling. 2 months later, every day, a dropped item is designated. In 2 months, only 60 dropped items are designated. There are also some others that are copied by probability, and some that are directly looted by killing enemies. Anyway, all kinds of items add up to a lot. Today's items have also seen a significant improvement, especially the materialization system. Materialization system telekinesis talent, purple. Transmuter telekinesis talent, double purple. There are also some other skills like picking up scraps. Of course, these things are definitely very good talents for ordinary people. At least only 1 blue telekinesis talent is needed to have the threshold to enter the 200th floor, and you can still mix well here. But for Lee Ku, this thing is completely a pile of materials. The only thing that he cares about is the improvement of the materialization system and transmuter. The other useful skills are kept, and the useless ones are directly crushed as experience points. Anyway, he got a bunch of blue ones and other abilities. The green garbage is directly crushed. There are entries about luck, but I didn't see any. It can be said that these 2 months have definitely yielded a lot. But as the levels are getting higher and higher, Liku has also discovered problem. Although many floors are occupied, the contestants may not appear. They may not appear for a long time. Some guys will not come for a year, letting their levels drop. Maybe they will be back in a year. It is definitely a very painful operation. Or these guys who occupy the level and are very strong don't care about the decline of their ranks or the start of the new season. They have absolute confidence and strength to fight again. But the depressed Liku must wait for them here. Only then will he have a chance to meet. This is definitely very painful. Because the auction in Ukexin City in this drama has only been started for more than 3 months, and Liku doesn't have more time to spend here. After all, the Spider Brigade is also a gathering of talents. Their copy is a fixed copy, and there will definitely be so many bosses, and any one of them can be brushed happily. If I continue to waste time here, I will have a headache. Besides, I plan to leave some time to go to Meteor Street. Otherwise, there is no need to bring the black girl. So there is not much time left in the Sky Arena. This day, Brother K, go to watch the game. Today is a super hot favorite. Gon ran over excitedly. And Killua. Liku naturally knew what happened today, but he had to cooperate with the performance. Is there something big happening today? Liku said curiously. Brother Ku, you may not know this, but today is the hottest day in the Sky Arena. The battle between Ulquiorra, a strong man with 9 consecutive wins, and Hua Shirdolang, a fierce martial artist who has also won 9 consecutive wins and is infinitely close to the level master. The arena is already full of spectators, but we are contestants above the 200th floor, and we have special designated seats. We must watch this game carefully. Gon was very excited. Killua's eyes were also shining, because during this period of time, these clones of Liku have made a great reputation in the Sky Arena. After all, they have been on the entry for more than 2 months, and there has been almost no defeat. Let's go, Brother Liku. Perhaps only from these people can we see the strength of these top strong men in the Sky Arena. Killua was also full of expectations. Let's go and take a look. Go and see my own performance. Liku smiled in his heart. Hua Shirdolang is one of the few small copies in the Sky Arena that he wants to play. And even in order to meet this guy, he deliberately controlled the winning and losing matches so that his Ulquiorra clone could meet this guy. In the entire Sky Arena, this guy is already considered a very top master. As for those who are higher, I basically don't show up all year round. Yes, there's also a Hisoka. In fact, if nothing unexpected happened, the real goal of this Hua Shirdolang was to deal with Hisoka, to avenge the previous shame. The entire arena was already packed with people. After all, both sides were highly popular players. The Sky Arena has made a lot of money just by selling tickets. It has to be said that this is a super profitable business. Dear audience friends, welcome to watch today's game. There is still an hour before the game starts, and the venue is already completely full. The contestants on both sides are Ulquiorra, who is now 9 wins and 0 losses, and is known as the cold-faced death god of the arena. As a contestant, he has fought all the way from the 1st floor to the 200th floor, and has only lost 3 games so far, and all 3 games were due to automatic abandonment. But there are as many as 9 contestants who died under the sword of this contestant. So the opponent with the highest mortality rate is also, so far, the monster that most Sky Arena players are unwilling to face. On the other side, it is Hua Shirdolang who once maintained 9 wins and 1 loss above the 200th floor. I believe everyone still remembers clearly that this martial artist and genius Hisoka's battle. We also have the last interview with Hua Shirdolang. In the arena, a beautiful anchor lady held the microphone and shouted loudly with passion and surging waves. It also caused the audience to shout and cheer excitedly. The ticket price for this game was 10 times the usual price, but it was still full. And the last interview video of Hua Shirdolang was played on the big screen of the competition venue. It can be said that this guy is a veteran in the Sky Arena with extremely high popularity. He is quite handsome, strong, and the fighting scenes are very enjoyable to watch. So he's also a popular player with a very high voice. Hwasher Dolong, are you ready to win this time? But your opponent is not Hisoka, but also a super rookie, Mr. Ulquiorra. The interviewer said in the video, except Hisoka, no one else can be my opponent. I have seen his matches and I can only say that he is very strong, but he has no chance of winning against me. With his long golden hair, the handsome Hwasher Dolong talked freely. Are you sure you can win this match? The host asked. Of course, if I am not sure of winning, I will not participate in the competition. Hwasher Dolong said with great confidence. After being defeated by Hisoka last time, he learned from his mistakes and unexpectedly awakened his own telekinesis. In his opinion, this is an ability that is superior to ordinary players. After having this ability, he found that his fighting ability has increased by leaps and bounds, and he has also learned a new move. He is completely different from his past self, and they are like two different people. Even 10 of his past selves are definitely not his current opponent. He has no reason to lose to Hisoka again. As for what he encountered on the way to defeating Hisoka, this strange newcomer in front of him is just a small challenge for him. That's all. Okay, then we invite our popular main player, Hwasher Dolong, and the super rookie hell god of death, Ulquiorra. The hot host girl holding the microphone pushed the atmosphere to the climax. Under the eyes of everyone, Hwasher Dolong and Ulquiorra entered the arena. They all looked so strong. Ulquiorra's battles from beginning to end were all resolved in one go, and no one has been able to test how strong he is. Yeah, this guy has a hole in his neck, and he can survive this fatal injury. I'm afraid his willpower is also very terrifying. It's a pity that his opponent is a veteran strongman, Hwasher Dolong. I heard that this time he came to wash away the shame with blood, and his fighting ability is definitely not comparable to before. I watched some of Hwasher Dolong's previous matches, and all of them defeated the opponent with one blow. So nervous. In the stands, the audience who ignored it talked a lot. But it is obvious that Hwasher Dolong has a higher voice. At least he looks much more handsome than Liku's clone, and he was a veteran warrior in the Sky Arena before, and he has accumulated very good popularity, so his voice is very high now. On the exclusive VIP stand for the contestants on the 200th floor, Liku, Gon, and Killua sat together. Brother Ku, who do you think will win between the two of them? They both look so powerful. Gon was very curious. What do you think? Like smiled and looked at the two little brothers. I feel Ulquiorra. He gives me the feeling that he has no emotions. And I have noticed since the first floor that this person always ends the battle with one move and even killed many players. Gon said seriously, no, he will lose. Killua shook his head. I met this Hwasher Doru in the corridor before. His mind has been developed very powerfully, and he has an amazing speed. Even I can't react. Although Ulquiorra is very strong, he may not be able to face Hwasher Doru. Not to mention, Hwasher Doru also said that he specially prepared a secret move for Hisoka. This is so powerful. Gon was surprised. He recognized Killua's speed and reaction very much, but he didn't expect Jean to say from his good brother that he couldn't react to Hwasher Doru's speed. Many times, it is not as it seems on the surface. The final result still depends on the game. Liku smiled faintly. On the ring, Hwasher Dolong and Ulquiorra stood still. To be honest, I don't want to attack you, because sometimes I can't control my strength. A new talent like you should still have a long room for growth. You could choose to give up. Getting hurt may not be a good thing for you. Hwasher Dolong said very gentlemanly. His only goal was to defeat Hisoka and avenge his previous shame. The young man in front of him did not give him a good feeling. His eyes were cold and scary, like a fighting machine without emotions. Such guys would be very difficult to deal with if they fought, and it is very likely that he would consume a lot of his physical strength and might even force himself to use his special moves. And that thing was prepared for Hisoka. If he used it here in advance, once Hisoka knew about it, maybe this revenge would be ruined. So defeating the enemy without fighting is the best way, and it can also reflect his demeanor. Wow, it's worthy of being Hwasher Dolong. Even talking is so handsome. Yes, I think it's better for this newcomer to admit defeat automatically. Once he gets hurt here, it may affect his future growth. If he is psychologically traumatized, it will be even more uncomfortable. I'm looking forward to the battle between Hua, Shi-Do-Lang, and Hisoka. You must not surrender. Otherwise, we have to refund the tickets. Yes, refund the tickets. The audience on the field was boiling. Obviously, everyone spent such a high price to buy tickets to watch this game. If this new talent chooses to surrender, it is absolutely not allowed. Although there is no such mandatory rule in the Sky Arena, the contestants can actually, well, it's good, choose their own images. But if you do this, you will lose a lot of popularity. Of course, not every contestant cares about his popularity. There are many guys who are completely reckless, such as Shisu, the dedicated viewing area for players above the 200 floor. Shisu is also there. It's just that he is sitting in the corner and looks inconspicuous. There's always a faint smile on the corner of his mouth, and he is slightly squinting and staring at the ring. It was inevitable to defeat Hua Shi-Do-Lang at the beginning. This guy is indeed very talented, and his tiger bite is indeed very powerful. Presumably, if he came to seek revenge this time, he must have undergone special training. Simon is also a little curious about what this former defeated opponent of his will become after training. What a pity. Last time, he didn't even awaken his telekinesis. It was really an ant trying to shake a tree, and the summer insects were frozen. On the contrary, it was this Ulquiorra that made Shinin curious. This was a very good fruit that he had reserved. He just needed to wait for the right opportunity to pick it and eat it. The car was hit 10 times by the far Cabin City Bayonne taste. Thinking of this made people tremble with excitement. On the ring, it was Xiao Wu's silence that responded to Hua Shi-Do-Lang. Li Ku was speechless about Hua Shi-Do-Lang. No wonder this guy lost to Shisu. Even in this revenge, he had a chance to defeat Hisoka, but he lost because of his broken heart. He was really a weakling, not confident in his own ability, and he liked to nag. I'll give you a chance. Show your strongest moves, otherwise you won't have a chance later. Ulquiorra, Li Ku spoke expressionlessly, with indifferent eyes. It's like looking down at a tiny wrinkled ant. Chapter 79, Ulquiorra versus Hua Shi-Do-Lang. Hearing this, Hua Shi-Do-Lang's expression changed instantly. His eyes were filled with uncontrollable anger. It was the other party's eyes that made him uncomfortable. This look reminded him of Hisoka, who had defeated him. The other party also had this kind of condescending look, as if he was in control of everything, and even made him feel a sense of insignificance. Sure enough, geniuses are proud, but don't underestimate others. Hua Shi-Do-Lang sneered, and his figure disappeared directly on the spot. So fast, Killua exclaimed. Even Hisoka, who was sitting in the corner, couldn't help but brighten his eyes slightly, because Hua Shi-Do-Lang's reaction speed this time was much better than before. It seems that Hua Shi-Do-Lang has not wasted these years. Bang, a dull collision sounded. What was surprising was that Xiao Wu standing on the ring didn't even mean to move his feet, but just calmly raised his right hand and made a defensive gesture. Hua Shi-Do-Lang's figure appeared on the right side, and his face seemed to be full of disbelief. This was an attack that could definitely hit, but the opponent blocked it as if he knew it in advance. He was absolutely confident in his speed. If you're confident only because of your snail-like speed, I am afraid you will be disappointed. If you don't show some real skills, you will lose miserably, Hua Shi-Do-Lang. Xiao Li Ku said coldly. In front of Li Ku, the opponent's speed is not fast at all. You should know that the various speed items that Li Ku has now are also very terrifying. What's more, Li Ku also has the Mind Circle. He also has the Super 5 senses. Even if he doesn't open the Mind Garden, he can easily capture the opponent's figure with his perception ability. His level of speed is indeed very good for dealing with ordinary people, but is not enough in front of Li Ku. Then you better be careful. My next attack may kill or injure you. To be honest, I don't want a genius like you to die in my hands. Hua Shi-Do-Lang's face finally changed. He finally realized that the extremely young and cold killer in front of him was definitely not as simple as he seemed. The opponent's strength was even underestimated. Even at the moment of the fight just now, Hua Shi-Do-Lang had an illusion that he was seen through, which made him very uneasy and unhappy. Oh, you have to be careful. Hua Dolang 847 took a deep breath and made a classic starting move. After seeing this move, the audience was boiling. It's the Tiger Bite Fist. I didn't expect that Hua Dolang will be the first to take it seriously. It seems that this little guy is very powerful, but it's useless. Once Hua Dolang uses this trick, I'm afraid this kid will only end up dead. That's hard to say. Didn't you see that the little guy didn't move at all? I think he's a little stronger. Hua Dolang has completely entered the battle state at this moment. He doesn't dare to be careless at this time. The strength of this guy in front of him is probably not inferior to Hisoka, so he must win this game. Tiger Bite Fist. This time, Hua Dolang's speed is faster, and he rushed directly in front of Liku. But what surprised him was that the opponent didn't seem to make any resistance to his attack, and then watched his moves go out. Tiger Bite Fist. Considering that the opponent was still a young guy, and his trump card was used to deal with Hisoka. So this time Hua Dolang did not use his clone ability, but only used the more powerful Tiger Bite Fist after thousands of tempers. But what shocked him was that the opponent just made a one-handed push and hit his Tiger Bite Fist head-on. Is this kid crazy? If he takes my attack head-on like this, his whole hand will be broken. Hua Dolang was shocked, and when he saw that his attack was about to hit the opponent, he slightly deviated. To be honest, although he wanted to win this game, he didn't want to cripple or kill the opponent. Hua Dolang was an upright person. At least he didn't want to. Oh, this scene naturally fell into Liku's field of vision. So Liku, who was originally preparing to take off one of the opponent's hands, also made a slight change. He directly hit the Tiger Bite Fist head-on. Boom, a dull sound exploded, and visible air waves vented in all directions. This made the spectators watching the battle nearby couldn't help but shout nervously. When everyone saw the situation clearly, their expressions were even more dull. CB. Xiao Wu Liku still stood there without any signs of moving, but Hua Dolang, who took the initiative to attack, was actually beaten back more than 10 meters. His right hand became bruised and swollen, especially the palm area, which was bleeding. There was an illusion of reaching a steel plate. Hua Dolang was extremely shocked, because just at the moment when the two sides touched, he was horrified to find that the opponent's strength was far greater than his own. And the defense was extremely terrifying. This guy, is he actually a master of horizontal training? How can he be so strong? Hua Dolang's right hand was dripping with blood and trembling slightly. He really couldn't understand himself. The frontal attack that he was proud of was actually blocked by the opponent. And what he is best at is enhancer. He strengthened his Tiger Bite Fist to the point where he could easily cut through a person's body, even if the opponent was also an enhancer. But this is the result. It seems that you don't have a clear understanding of your own strength, or you overestimate yourself. You are really weak. If there are no more moves, I am afraid I will have to end the battle. Ulquiorra, Liku spoke expressionlessly. His eyes were on Hua Shidu from beginning to end. 014512328 Faloo 033363181. It must be said that the Hua Shidalang in front of him is indeed a rare genius. And he also has the entry that Liku really wants to get. Name, Hua Dolang entries. Enhancer telekinetic talent, gold. Tiger Bite True Fist, gold. Telekinetic clone, double purple. Suspicion, purple. Avenger, purple. Old injury, double blue, etc. At least he is a gold entry owner that is hard to come by in this Sky Arena. And if this guy can be stronger in his heart, he can actually defeat Hisoka. Because in the original Fate line, he had already broken both of Hisoka's arms. The reason why he was defeated in the end was entirely because he was not confident in his own strength. And now it seems that it is not just that. This guy also has some saint mentality. Of course, this mentality is a good thing for his opponent, but for a real warrior, it is definitely the worst mentality. Liku commented on Hua Dolang in his heart. If this guy can overcome his slow mentality and become decisive, he can definitely become a person like Hisoka. Unfortunately, Hisoka has great potential. Of course, poor Hua Dolang. He can't even pass this level. All Liku wants is to see more of his moves. Because Liku, who has the ability of super copy gold, can copy the opponent's moves. The so-called learning from the strengths of hundreds of schools and forming one's own opinion is nothing more than this. At this moment, Hua Do Lang is truly awakened. He has realized that the guy standing in front of him is very dangerous. If he doesn't show his ability to see the family background, he will definitely lose here. Whether it is attack, defense, or reaction speed, the opponent is far superior to himself. Then the only chance of winning can only rely on his own tricks. Hisoka, you must have watched it in the stands. Open your eyes and see it clearly. This is a trick originally prepared for you, but it's a pity that it can't be used on you for the time being. Hua Dolong suddenly shouted loudly, and his eyes looked at the audience around him, as if looking for Hisoka's figure. After sweeping his eyes over the area, he didn't find anything and finally fell back on the ring. Little guy, I have to admit that you are indeed very strong, even stronger than me in many aspects. You are an absolute genius. But please don't look down on others. Hua Dolong was angry. He rushed up again. Telekinesis, Gene. The people in the audience couldn't see it clearly, but Li Ku standing on the ring could see it clearly. Bang, the opponent turned into two at the moment of attacking him, and then suddenly attacked him from different angles. The result was that Ulquiorra Li Ku was beaten back by Hua Dolong for the first time, and there was a scratch on his face. What's going on? The attack of this Hua Dolong just now can be resisted. Why didn't Ulquiorra resist? Gon looked confused. No, that's not the case, Gon. If you look carefully, you will find that the opponent has a double image at the moment of attack, and the two double images are not attacking the same position. This is an advanced telekinesis technique. Killua exclaimed. As a contestant who was taught a lesson by Hua Dolong at the beginning, Killua will have a deeper understanding of Hua Dolong. This sudden counterattack and hitting the opponent immediately made the audience shout excitedly. They shouted Hua Dolong's name one after another. They thought that Hua Dolong finally started to exert his strength. The situation is about to reverse. Ulquiorra Li Ku was beaten back several meters. He still stood in the same place, gently wiping off the marks on his cheek. Hua Lang, who was about to say something ruthless, suddenly had his pupils constricted because he was extremely shocked to see that there was no scratch on the cheek of his opponent on the ring. The so-called scratch, just now, was just a mark on the sole of his shoe. Damn, what level of defense does this guy have? Why can he have such a terrifying defense at this age? Hua Lang even had some self-doubt at this moment. It's a very good ability, barely worth looking at, but unfortunately, Conjure doesn't seem to be your best skill, so practicing this ability will probably be a waste of time. Why don't you try to continue to specialize in one thing? Enhancer, go all the way and practice to the extreme is the most reliable way. Also, do you always like to keep some leeway when attacking people? Do you consider letting your opponent go in a life-and-death duel? It's hard for people like you to become truly strong. If you had used your Tiger Bite fist just now, I might have been hurt, but you didn't. Ulquiorra Li Ku looked at Hua Doyu calmly and made an analysis. Hua Doyu's face was extremely ugly at this moment. Indeed, if he had just attacked Li Ku directly and used his best Tiger Bite fist, he could have just broken Li Ku's skin. But it was obvious that this kind-hearted Hua Do you chose to hold back at the moment of attack. Or he had a stubborn idea that the ultimate move should be used at the last moment. Why didn't you consider using the ultimate move to knock someone down right away? Damn it. Put away your condescending look. I'm not here to listen to your instructions. Since you want to see how powerful I am, you should pay the price for what you said. Hua Dolong was completely furious. He had practiced hard for so many years, but he couldn't beat a young man. It was definitely a shame among shames. Hisoka must be watching in the audience. I am afraid that he will become a joke to this guy today. So at this moment, he didn't talk about anything. He really used all his strength. Telekinesis clone. Tiger Bite real fist. His clone and the original body used the same moves. Even the people in the audience finally saw it clearly. There were two Hua Dolong, and they were exactly the same. It was incredible. Oh, interesting, this clone does look quite realistic, and before using this clone, you concealed your breath, and after the clone, you divided your breath into two. In order to keep your clone from being seen through, You chose to divide the breath equally, which can indeed make you and Fengsheng look very real. But don't you think this is very stupid? If I can't even beat you in your perfect state, won't I be even more unable to beat you if I split into two? Ulquiorra, Liku suddenly laughed. That may not be the case. You're not the only one who decides the outcome. Two clones came up, making it impossible for everyone in the stands to tell which one was fake and which one was real. But all this was just a piece of cake for Liku. Hua Dolang's talent was Enhancer, but he forced himself to practice Conjurer, which would directly lead to a double result with half the effort. And he was able to practice to this level in just 2 years, which can only be said to be quite talented. But in the Conjurer, the Grandmaster of Strength was red. Isn't it just showing off his sword in front of Guangong? Hey, Ulquiorra Liku suddenly grinned, showing his white teeth, and stretched out his hand directly to one of Hua Dolang. Open your 5 fingers. A trace of electric arc jumps on your fingertips. Chapter 80. Are you still hay? Boom in the eyes of everyone who was extremely shocked. Ulquiorra Rick directly pressed down the head of one of the clones, and then slammed it heavily on the ground. In the deafening explosion, bricks and stones exploded. Dust rose everywhere. The battle on the ring came to an abrupt end. The remaining clone had already rushed behind Ulquiorra Rick, but after the other clone was pressed to the ground by Ulquiorra Rick, it dissipated. The entire arena fell into silence, and countless eyes fell on the ring. When the dust cleared, everyone saw the scene on the ring clearly. Hua Dolong, who was once one of the most popular kings, was an invincible handsome man with long golden hair. At this moment, he looked extremely embarrassed, lying on the ring with blood all over his body. His nose and face were swollen, and even several teeth were lost. He was not handsome at all. Instead, he stretched out his hand to hold down Ulquiorra Regal, and he did not even draw his sword from beginning to end. He ended the battle with just one hand. The area under Hua Dolang collapsed for about 10 meters. This attack looked very shocking. No one spoke, and everyone stared blankly at the only person standing on the car. Ulquiorra Regal slowly loosened his hand and stood up. Hua Dolang even wiped the blood on his hand with the corner of his clothes. He still looked around with an indifferent look. The next moment, the whole stadium seemed to be on fire, and it was boiling in an instant as if water was poured into boiling oil. Ulquiorra, Ulquiorra, Ulquiorra. People kept calling Ulquiorra's name, and soon the call became like a wave. One wave was higher than the other, and finally swept the entire stadium, and all the spectators were calling his name. From this moment on, everyone understood that a true king-like existence appeared in this sky arena. Ulquiorra, he defeated the unlucky comebacker Hua Dolang with an absolutely strong attitude. Then he stepped on the corpse of this veteran warrior to take the position. Even Hisoka, who was sitting in the corner of the spectator's seat, had an extremely solemn expression at this moment. The expression on his face when he looked at the ring was almost solemn enough to drip water. Very strong. It can even be said that it was very strong. In the last move used by Hua Dolang, Hisoka naturally saw that it was extraordinary. The opponent actually had the ability to clone himself. Moreover, with his signature martial arts Tiger Bite Fist, if I were to fight this guy, I'm afraid the chance of winning would not be high. Especially when the opponent uses the ability of life, splitting without my knowledge. It is very likely that I will fall into a very unfavorable situation and even lose. But even with such a strong opponent, Hua Dolang, who had practiced hard for many years, couldn't even hold on for a few rounds in front of this weird boy. Even in the end, the opponent's almost ultimate move was broken by this little guy. Very strong. It can even be said that it is a bit outrageous in terms of power defense and the ability to instantly distinguish who is real and who is fake. This super resolution is enough to shock people. Even Hisoka couldn't quickly judge which one was real. But how did this little guy tell apart? If it wasn't the unlucky guy, Kashi Toro, standing on the ring, but himself, what would be his chances of winning? Hisoka fell into deep thought. He suddenly stopped laughing. The growth rate of these fruits has far exceeded his expectations. And it's not just a matter of pricking his hands. If he's not careful, he might pierce his mouth or even his entire body. Ulquiorra? Things are getting more and more interesting. Hisoka whispered softly and slowly retracted his teeth like a poisonous snake in the dark. Good. So awesome. Brother Ko. Kashitoro actually lost, and lost so badly. Why can he directly tell which one is real and which one is fake at the end? Killua, do you know? Gon was astonished. Killua also smiled bitterly and shook his head. He couldn't tell which of Huasher Dolan's clones was real and which was fake. His mind was not as good as Huasher Dolan's at the moment. Too powerful, this Ulquiorra. Gon, we must strengthen our training. Otherwise, it is impossible to achieve better results in the upper echelons of this sky arena. This Ulquiorra will definitely be one of the top figures in this arena in the future. Killua was very moved, especially after seeing that Li Ku was silent. He was more certain of his thoughts. Obviously, he also thought that Li Ku probably also thought that this Ulquiorra was very powerful. But if Killua could read minds, he would be very confused now. Because at this moment, Li Ku was cleaning up his victory. Ding! Congratulations on defeating Hua Shi Dolang, a contestant in the Sky Arena. In a fighting posture. Ding! Lucky Star talent is activated. Specify the drop and copy. Enhance your telekinesis talent. Gold. Ding! 10% probability to automatically copy the opponent's entry. Ding! Copying is successful. Congratulations on obtaining Tiger Bite True Fist. Gold, telekinesis clone, double purple. Detected that you have Thunder Beast red, automatically crush telekinesis clone for its experience value. Detected that you have Enhancer Telekinesis Master Gold, automatically merge and upgrade to double gold. A voice like heavenly sound rang in Li Ku's mind. He did not kill this somewhat saintly Hua Shi Dolang. Although Hua Shi Dolang was his opponent, he had to say that he was indeed a very talented guy, and he also had a guard against himself during the battle. In addition, he now had a lucky star to specify the dropped entry, so there was no need to cause too much killing. At least Li Ku is peace-loving, isn't he? A lot of information poured into Li Ku's mind. Enhancer Telekinesis talent has broken through again. Double gold level. I got gold from Wing before, and now I got another gold from Hua Shi Dolang. Naturally double gold. In addition, in this sky arena, the Enhancer Telekinesis talent of much lower quality from other contestants was automatically crushed and integrated into the entry. I didn't expect that after specifying the copy, the 10% probability of copying still appeared. Tiger Bite True Fist Gold. After absorbing this entry, the memory and information of Hua Shi Dolang's desperate practice for decades, regardless of wind and rain, cold and hot seasons, suddenly emerged in his mind. It seemed that Li Ku was experiencing all this. Because this is a skill entry, gold represents a combination of proficiency and quality. There is no need to continue practicing after obtaining it. Once you obtain this entry, you can use it directly. Now, when he uses the Tiger Bite True Fist, it is dozens of times more ferocious than Hua Shi Dolang. Moreover, after absorbing so much information, the organization suddenly had an idea in its mind. Telekinetic clone, Thunder Beast, Tiger Bite True Fist, a spiritual master evolved from the invisible hand. Can he integrate all these things together? Make a three-headed and six-armed Vajra Dharma. Then he will be truly powerful. Kill gods when he meets gods. Kill Buddhas when he meets Buddhas. Oh, perfect. Li Ku couldn't help but smile. The more entries he gets, the richer his accumulation will be. This kind of integration and taking the strengths of hundreds of schools, summing up his own super martial arts must be the way he will go in the future. Perfect. Absolutely comfortable. Of course, this kind of self-created martial art still takes a little time, even if Li Ku's accumulation is now considered a true martial arts master. But to develop such extraordinary martial arts skills, it is not enough to rely on a flash of inspiration. Still need real accumulation of strength. The stadium is cheering at this moment. Ulquiorra Rick also completely entered everyone's vision today and became the most popular super dark horse in the Sky Arena. No, it should be the real favorite. Ulquiorra Rick ignored everyone and left the field directly. But today is destined to be an extraordinary day. In the corridor. Huh, It's so exciting, this game. If I hadn't watched this game, I wouldn't have known that there would be such a powerful existence in this world. Brother Rick, I don't know who is stronger between you and Alquiora. I think Brother Rick is stronger. Gon looked at Rick with admiration. Killua seemed to be worried. He suddenly raised his head. Brother Rick, please help me and Killua give us special training. And don't hold back, because if we encounter that guy, I'm afraid we won't be able to save our lives. At this moment, Killua, a genius who didn't care much about training in the past. At this moment, he felt deep pressure. In the family, he was called a genius by everyone, but now in this sky arena, he witnessed this game with his own eyes. Suddenly, he realized how ridiculous his original thoughts were. The so-called genius is worthless in front of these monsters. Since the talent is not enough, you can only make absolute efforts. Oh, special training for you. Li Ku was stunned because he suddenly saw the two little guys and a countdown appeared on the purchase. Countdown to cool down the item 32H. Countdown to cool down the item 64HO finally appeared. Gon and Killua were brushed by me at the beginning. Now the time has finally cooled down, and I have the golden lucky star, which can directly specify the drop. Perfect. Following these sons of luck, Li Ku, wouldn't they all be blown up? All the items are brushed down without missing a single one. After all, Gon and the others are real Li Ku. Although their strength is not particularly strong now, their item foundation is good. It is easy to brush. Isn't this the best shortcut? Killua, I am very happy that you can think like this. There are still many strong people in this world. Only by continuous efforts can you become stronger. Killua, Gon, so you must put in 12 or even 20 points of effort to greet every day. Only through hard training and hard fighting can you become stronger. Don't worry, I will train you. Lika said righteously. Of course I have to train them, because their efforts are also my own efforts. I just need to lie down. There are two little guys who train day and night. When they're trained well, it will be perfect to brush them down. I'm a man with a system after all. I just need to lie down and collect rent. Brother Ku. Woo woo woo. I know, I will never let Brother Ku down. Killua. Yeah, me too. I will definitely train hard and become stronger. Gon and Killua were deeply moved and vowed in their hearts to train desperately regardless of everything. Good job. Gon, Killua, work hard and make money for Brother Ku, which is the goal of life. Of course, you will become stronger, and I am doing this for your own good. Suddenly, a chuckle came from the front. The three of them stopped, and in front of the corridor, there was a figure leaning against the wall, as if waiting for them on purpose. Hisoka? Brother Ku, it's this guy, Gon exclaimed, and directly gripped his fishing rod and entered a fighting posture. Killua also looked nervous and solemn, because he also realized the danger of Hisoka. In this sky arena, private fights often occur, and even death may occur because of it. No one will stop these things, because after entering the sky arena, everyone either comes for money or for fame, or to become stronger. They have long put life and death aside. Li Ku, huh? This is a day I'm looking forward to. I've been observing you for a long time. You are indeed a true genius. Our match will be in 2 days. Be prepared. Hisoka suddenly looked at Li Ku and smiled. He wanted to pick Li Ku's fruit and taste the wonderful taste. Let Li Ku die in front of him. The pleasure of killing a genius is incomparable, especially when a genius with outstanding talent grows up and is killed. This sense of accomplishment will be stronger. When he thought of this, he couldn't help but tremble with excitement, and his face flushed abnormally. 2 days later, Lika narrowed his eyes slightly, and he suddenly saw a line of numbers slowly appearing above the other person's head. Target person, Hisoka's entry is brushed, and the cooldown countdown is 60 hours small. Chapter 81, Darkening Black. Hisoka versus Li Ku, you should really be grateful for this legal society and for the countdown above your head that saved you. It can let you live a little longer. Li Ku sneered in his heart. Oh, if you come here just to inform me of this, I already know it. Let's go, Gon. Killua, like yawned in boredom. He didn't like to do this kind of useless work, especially for the pretentious Hisoka. It doesn't pay much to spend a lot of effort to deal with this guy, because no entries will be dropped. But 3 days later, it's unfortunate. That day, my little Wu happened to be at work. Like smiled. Gon and Killua still stared at this weird clown, not daring to relax their vigilance. The three figures finally disappeared at the end of the corridor. I didn't expect that a member of the brigade would be underestimated. It shouldn't be that I'm asked to watch the game. Suddenly, a figure walked out from a fork in the road next to it, and the voice like a girl was a little disdainful. Brigade member Maki, just make some preparations. Wait here for a few days, and you can leave after the battle between me and that kid is over. Hisoka said expressionlessly. I didn't expect that a guy that the captain valued so much would lose confidence in himself. Is that guy strong? He seems to be just average. Maki glanced at the direction where Li Ku and the others disappeared. Hisoka said nothing more, just turned and left, leaving Maki alone. This guy. Maki left with a grudge. She swore. If she hadn't been hired by the other party at a sky-high daily wage, she would never have stayed in such a place for too long. 2 days passed in a flash. On the Sky Arena, let's welcome the contestant this time, the Supernova player Li Ku, with warm applause. He has maintained a record of 9 consecutive wins on the 200th floor. And our legendary player, Hisoka. Let's welcome him warmly. The beautiful host's passionate voice sounded. It immediately pushed the atmosphere of the whole venue to a climax. Li Ku's performance during this period was also very eye-catching, and he was regarded as one of the super dark horses of the same period. Hisoka is even more popular in the arena, even more popular than Hua Dolong. This guy is very good-looking, and all his previous failures were caused by not fighting, which makes the audience have a bigger topic. A hot topic. Come on, brother. On the ring, Gon shouted nervously. Big brother Li Ku will definitely win. Killua couldn't help but sweat for Li Ku. He could sense that Hisoka was powerful, and this guy was even more dangerous than Hua Dolong. It's very difficult. I'm afraid your big brother will lose badly this time. A strange voice came from the side. The two turned their heads and saw a man wrapped in gauze, but still sitting in the audience. Who are you? The two were surprised. Me? I'm Hua Dolong. I once lost to Hisoka. That guy is a monster. Your brother is too young. Although his performance in the game is indeed very good, but compared with Hisoka, the gap is still quite large. Hua Dolong shook his head. Originally, he came to the Sky Arena this time to seek revenge on Hisoka, but he didn't expect to fail in the first hour. So even though he was seriously injured, he still escaped from the hospital and came to watch this game. Because Li Ku's performance was also quite dazzling, at least in his opinion, he was a strong man with good strength, of course in Hua Dolong's cognition. It is impossible for Hisoka to lose to such a young kid. Mr. Hua Dolong, I watched your match a few days ago, and Ulquiorra is really strong. It's not unfair for you to lose. Killua's eyes lit up, and he was quite impressed with Hua Dolong. Yes, that guy is indeed very strong. I didn't expect that there would be such a strong existence besides Hisoka in the Miku arena. I'm really convinced that I lost to him. Hua Dolong couldn't help but sigh. Even to this day, he is still shocked by the strength of Ulquiorra. That guy is even stronger than Hisoka. If Hisoka defeats your big brother in this match, then he will fight that monster tomorrow. I'm looking forward to tomorrow's battle even more. Hua Dolong said in a deep voice, Brother Ku will not lose. You don't understand how strong Ku Gao is. Gon argued. I also believe in Brother Li Ku. Mr. Hua Dolong, Brother Li Ku is much stronger than you see, and Hisoka may not be his opponent. Killua was also quite confident. This scene surprised Hua Dolong. He didn't know why the two little guys were so confident. If Hua Dolong could see Li Ku beat Silva Zoldyck with his own eyes, maybe he would redefine this game. On the ring. Haha, I finally waited for this day. It seems that you have learned to read, and the fruit is ripe. Hisoka stared at Li Ku with burning eyes and licked the corner of his lips with greedy eyes. In his eyes, Summary did not seem to be a human being, but more like a work of art or a ripe fruit. It was a very disgusting look. You two, are you ready? If you can, I will announce the start of the game. The referee, standing aside, slowly raised his hand, looked at the expressions of the two players, and prepared to give orders. This was a very thrilling match, and even he, as a referee, was looking forward to it. After all, both sides were super dark horses. And from beginning to end, especially Lee Koo, he defeated his opponents with one move, and he had not really shown his actual fighting experience. 0-1-4-5-0-1-3-1-7 Faloo 1-3-3-4-9-3-3-1-1. I give up. Before the referee could speak, Lee Koo raised his hand. The referee was stunned when he heard this. Not only him, but also Hisoka, who was standing on the other side of the ring, was stunned. He never dreamed that Lee Koo would choose to admit defeat, because at least in the original Hunter license assessment, Lee Koo had fought against him. This guy definitely has no lack of fighting spirit. But Hisoka couldn't find any reason why Lee Koo would choose to admit defeat. This made his interest in fighting just now dissipate, most of it, just like a clenched fist hitting cotton. Wait, Lee Koo, if you choose to admit defeat, you will be directly judged as the loser in that game. The referee emphasized, for any player, losing a game is equivalent to having to play 2 more games before coming back, which is definitely not a good deal. Of course, I admit defeat and leave. Lee Koo was too lazy to explain to the referee, so he just said it, then turned around and walked away with his hands in his pockets. Hisoka, behind him, had a gloomy expression that was about to drip water. He was already passionately ready for a fight, but he never thought that Lee Koo did not give him this opportunity. Can you tell me a reason? Hisoka suddenly said. Lee Koo stopped and turned his head to look at him, brushing item cooldown, countdown 12H, but he did not say any reason as he wished, and still turned around and walked away. Hisoka's expression was even more sinister, this guy, because he actually saw the kind of contempt from the other party's eyes. You know, this guy is his prey and the fruit he's been waiting for to mature. But he never thought that the other party, as the prey, did not have this awareness. He actually looked at himself with such eyes. Hisoka even had an impulse to kill the other person directly, but he soon thought it through. Haha, I see. Okay, I'll deal with you after I solve tomorrow's troubles. Hisoka suddenly realized, in his opinion, Lee Koo deliberately missed this game with him, because once he admitted defeat in this game, the guy he would match with in the next 10 games would be Ulquiorra, who was also called a super dark horse. That guy was also one of the fruits he wanted to hunt. What a smart kid. He actually wanted to watch his fight with others before considering fighting with him. Although this approach is a bit shameless and even undignified, it has to be said that it is a smart choice. Things are really getting more and more interesting. The corners of Hisoka's mouth slowly raised a mysterious arc of confidence. He has seen through everything. Announced the result of the game, referee. He glanced at the referee who was standing there in a daze and reminded him. The referee came back to his senses and looked at both sides repeatedly. Lee Koo had even left the ring. He had to raise the flag in his hand and announced that Hisoka won the match. The moment he announced the victory, the whole arena was boiling. Shadow, 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 alpaca, refund the tickets, refund the tickets, refund the tickets, fake winter vacation, fake match. You should know that the ticket price for this match is not much different from the previous one between Hua, Shidolang. Both are popular matches and are about 10 times the price of the past. Before the match started, Lee Koo chose to admit defeat directly, which made the audience in the stand who were ready to watch the show suddenly dissatisfied. The voices like a tide almost drowned the entire arena. There were even many verbal criticisms of Lee Koo, thinking that he was a coward and unworthy of fighting in the Sky Arena. Up. Seeing Lee Koo returning to his seat, Gon's expression was a bit complicated at the moment. A large part of the audience in the lower level was scolding Lee Koo and others at this moment. The audience sitting in this special viewing area did not speak because they were all contestants, but their eyes looking at Lee Koo were obviously full of contempt and ridicule. In this Sky Arena, actively admitting defeat is regarded as the most shameful action. Even if the difference in strength between the two sides is huge, she must at least fight. This kind of direct surrender is simply spineless and dignified. But Lee Koo has no choice. If he defeats Hisoka in this game, he will not be able to match Ulquiorra tomorrow, and he will not be able to brush Hisoka's entries at all. And the cooldown time, but as long as he deliberately lets Hisoka win this game, he will automatically match Ulquiorra tomorrow, the cooldown will be completed, and he can brush the entries perfectly. So, he has no need to waste energy on this guy. Now Liku's target is no longer a strong man of Hisoka's level. Hisoka is at most an elite dungeon boss, which can be brushed easily. In the future, Chimera Ant, Netero, and Dark Continent should be the direction he yearns for. Brother Liku should have his own considerations, Gon Killua explained. He has unconditional trust in Liku. This is a very wise choice, avoiding the monster Hisoka, and then winning again from other players, of course. The premise is that you don't meet that monster Ulquiorra. 11 Kaisher Doru, who is tied with thin straps all over his body, commented, I feel a little uncomfortable today, so I don't want to fight. Winning or losing is not particularly important to me. Liku smiled. In the past 2 days, he also took some attributes from Gon and Ki. The method was naturally very simple. He just fought in the name of guiding the two and defeated the two little guys. The attributes of the two little guys entered the cooling time again. They obtained 2 designated drop attributes respectively. Blackening, black, electric resistance, purple. The 3.1 attributes of the two little guys were basically brushed by himself. Electric resistance is also good. In the future, Jiku will definitely be able to build an all-round combat pressure. The defense strength is a real super meat shield. Blackening is a double-edged sword, but after obtaining it, Liku has an extra trump card to save his life. This thing can be turned on again under the premise of turning on the fire red. As for how much bonus effect it has, it is not clear. But the effect is definitely several times the increase of the fire red. I multiplied by the several times of this thing. The increase can reach a very terrifying level, but it will consume your own life and body crazily. Don't you see that at the beginning after Gon used this thing, he almost turned into a dry wood? He still found a monster in Zoldik's house and made a wish to revive. Liku would naturally not put such a dangerous thing on himself. He has the absolute will red. Even after the light transformation ability is activated, he will have a part of his self. But this thing consumes too much of his own C. It is impossible to use it when there is no absolute danger, and it can only be used as a last resort. The ultimate move after the ultimate move. But it is also very perfect. Liku's explanation is very far-fetched, but Gon and Killua will not go into it. They still believe in G. Kamor. However, many spectators in the arena have a rapidly declining reputation for Liku and even kicked him out of the Super Dark Horse team directly. They think that such a timid guy will not become a Super Dark Horse and be on par with those real evil geniuses. The next day, time passed in a flash. The next day, the news of Hisoka vs Ulquiorra once again ignited the enthusiasm of all the audience. Chapter 82, Fake Flash. Flexible Love. Your battle today may be more dangerous than yesterday. Is this why you asked me to come? Don't forget, on August 30th, all insignificant members must arrive in Ukexin City. In the preparation room, Maki leaned against the wall and glanced at Hisoka. Hisoka did not respond to her, but twisted his neck, making a crackling sound of bones, and adjusted his condition to the best. Wait until I finish this game, and I'm afraid I will have to pay you a lot of medical expenses by then, Hisoka said with a smile. Ulquiorra was also among the fruits he hunted, and the danger level of this guy was too much compared to the organization. Hisoka even had a strong premonition that he would be seriously injured in this game, but he would definitely be the winner in the end. So he contacted Maki in advance and made all preparations. Interesting. I will go to watch the opponent who can make you pay so much attention. Maki chuckled and walked out behind Hisoka. In the arena, Liku and others also arrived. This brother was crowded with people, and the cheers were extremely high. The enthusiasm and number of the audience on the scene far exceeded any previous game. Many of the audience were extremely fanatical and called out Ulquiorra's name because he was different from the other contestants. This contestant not only looked a little weird, but also many contestants died in his hands. It can be said that many of the audience present were here to watch the killing, and the group was so enthusiastic. After all, it is very difficult to see dead people in other arenas, but it is common to see it in Ulquiorra's arena. Both are top talents. It is exciting to think about seeing any warrior on this field. It's Ulquiorra, so far, the guy who has never lost any game. Gon's face was full of expectation and nervousness. Gon, we must watch carefully. Remember to use condensation on the eyes. I'm afraid this battle will be very exciting. Killua reminded. During this period, not only will Liku guide their telekinesis practice, but Wing also gives them extra lessons every day. It can be said that the development of the two little guys' telekinesis is also constantly progressing. The bandages on Hua Shi Dolang behind him have been removed a lot because he was injured by Ulquiorra when he was pressed on the ring, so the bandages on his head are still wrapped around, and his face looks very ugly, especially when he saw the bird. He couldn't help but twitch his eyes. This guy is still a lingering nightmare in his heart until now. But he's also very concerned about this game. 1 or 2 are monsters that defeat him. It can be said that any failure is very relieving for him. But to be honest, he can't judge which of the 2 guys will win. Lee can naturally lean back in the chair calmly. His telekinesis has a certain degree of autonomous action ability, which is equivalent to a low-level intelligent AI. It only needs to change its position when solving the opponent to trigger the system effect. Very interesting. On the ring, Ulquiorra stood there expressionlessly with his hands in his pockets. That arrogant look even made Shisu raise his eyebrows. Hisoka, Ulquiorra, kill him. Ha! Kill him. The audience in the stands were already shouting loudly. Maki also chose a corner area to watch the game. Her eyes curiously fell on Ulquiorra and Hisoka. She knew that Hisoka had always been worried about growing up. No matter what the result of this battle is, it is certain that we can see clearly what this guy's true strength is. Hisoka did not speak, but just stared at Ulquiorra in front of him like a venomous snake. Especially after seeing the other party's cold and empty eyes that were almost emotionless, his eyes became more and more fiery. This look of the other party is very familiar. The same as Illumi's, no, or even colder than Illumi's. There is no emotional fluctuation at all. Such guys are very rare in this world. They are either born with a lack of emotions or have great confidence in their own strength. But no matter which one, it is a very rare and wonderful fruit in this world. Hisoka's 10 fingers flicked lightly in a strange pattern, as if he was moving his fingers. You too. This time, the rules of the game we chose will score points based on the effect of the player's attack. Knock down the opponent to get an extra point, and the opponent will directly get full points if he surrenders. The referee announced the rules of the game. Then let's start the game. The referee left the ring. With his order, Shisu was ready to take the lead. He had no intention of being polite. This guy could defeat Hua Shi Dolang so easily. In Hisoka's mind, he was already classified as a very dangerous level. But Hisoka was suddenly stunned. Not only him, the audience in the stands also looked at Ulquiorra in surprise. Just like Ulquiorra's usual pretentious fighting style, this guy still stood in the same place, but this time he actually raised his right hand in the direction of Hisoka and pressed his index finger slightly. What's going on? Maki was also stunned. Hua Shi Dolang was even more confused. As an opponent who had fought this monster personally, he naturally knew the various strengths of this guy. But this was the first time he saw this kind of move from the opponent, which made him a little confused. Gon and Killua were even more confused. But at this moment, on the ring, Hisoka's heart suddenly went on alarm bells. The ICU jumped toward the area next to him at a very fast speed. Swish! Boom! A red beam of light burst out from the tip of Ulquiorra's index finger. It was originally just a small red light spot, but in the moment of the explosion, it expanded to the size of a bucket. There was a large pit with a diameter of 2 meters where Hisoka had just stood. There were still wisps of green smoke. Another version of the virtual flash. Or it could be said that it was a special attack method transformed by Liku using the ability of Mind Bullet. But this scene directly stunned the entire Sky Arena and all the audience. There was a brief silence on the scene. After a few seconds, it suddenly boiled up, and all the audience seemed to come alive. Generally, everyone's face was full of disbelief and unprecedented excitement and enthusiasm. They shouted Ulquiorra's name crazily. Oh my god, what I just see? This guy is transmuter telekinesis. Not at all enhancer. Too strong. Just one finger exploded it. Such a wide distance. This time the ticket price is really worth it. I can guarantee that this guy has not used his full strength yet. No wonder Hua Lang lost the game. I even thought that he lost that game because he was too careless, but now it seems that he has no chance at all. Genius. This guy is a real genius. Countless spectators cheered excitedly. Maki in the stands also had a serious look. What a strong transmuter ability. This level definitely reached the level of a brigade member. Maki couldn't help but marvel in her heart. She originally came to watch this game just to see the excitement, but she didn't expect to see such a shocking scene. You should know that this ring with more than 200 floors has been specially reinforced and is much harder than ordinary rings. But it was still blasted by the attack released by the opponent from more than 2 meters. Awesome. Killua, the power feels about the same as your Chidori. Gon couldn't help but be shocked. Faster than my Chidori. Killua's expression was extremely serious. Now, the Chidori that Li Ku gave him has become a bottom-line move, but that thing needs a certain amount of pre-swing. But it is obvious that the move used by the monster in front of him is not only about the same power as his Chidori, but also has no pre-swing at all. It is almost released instantly. It also gives people a feeling that this seems to be a casual attack by the opponent. Hua Dolang's face was even paler at this moment. His pupils were dilated, and his whole body was trembling slightly. He clenched his fists tightly and then loosened them powerlessly. His face was full of unprecedented bitterness. He finally realized that he didn't lose the game last time because he was careless. It was because the opponent's strength was much stronger than his own. In the last game, the opponent didn't even use any full strength. If the opponent chose to use this sudden attack against his clone, he could definitely injure both the clone and himself at the same time. Strong. Too strong. It's true that the new generation replaces the old. Hua Lang sighed in his heart, but after a few seconds he clenched his fists again, and an unprecedented strong fighting consciousness surged in his heart. He must work harder. He must catch up with this monster. Hisoka, nothing else matters anymore. This Ulquiorra is definitely the target he should chase. On the ring, Hisoka's face is a little ugly at this moment because his cheek was rubbed by the thing just now. Although it was just a graze, it scratched his face directly. A trace of blood flowed out, and it felt hot and painful. Before he could stand firm, Ulquiorra just glanced at him slightly and then pointed his finger in the direction where he had just landed. Swish! Boom, another otherworldly version of the virtual flash appeared. Of course, this one was not as scary as the king's virtual flash. It was just a toy water gun. Li Ku was just playing cat and mouse with the other party now. As long as he wanted. He could make a white thunder nuclear explosion virtual flash, but by then, the whole floor would probably be blown up, and he didn't want to see this result. Boom! Explosions one after another. At this moment, the audience in the stands were completely dumbfounded, and everyone was stunned, looking at the ring with disbelief on their faces. Not only them. Maki, Gon, Killua, Hwasher DeLong, and other elite players above the 200 floor all had extremely wonderful expressions. Looking down. The battle was completely one-sided, and the two sides were not evenly matched as expected. Ulquiorra was like a demon king, making people almost breathless. Hisoka, who was extremely arrogant in the past games, was now running wildly on the ring like a street rat. The opponent's red flashes fell, and the ground would definitely explode. As long as Hisoka was hit by this attack, the game would be declared over directly. What was shocking was that Ulquiorra was like a perpetual motion machine, constantly releasing these things, but he himself had no expression. This is crazy. Hisoka was completely suppressed, and he didn't even have the strength to fight back. He could only keep running away. This guy is a complete lunatic. His transmuter telekinesis is terrifying. Humph. He won't be so proud for long. This way of fighting is the stupidest. When his physical strength is almost exhausted, it will be time for Hisoka to counterattack. That may not be the case. You can see that Ulquiorra has not changed the frequency of fighting from beginning to end, which shows that he still has a lot of energy in his body. On the contrary, if Hisoka continues to fight at this rhythm, he will definitely be overturned. The audience and the elite players who came to watch the game couldn't help but talk about it. This is definitely an unprecedented fighting method. So strong. Maki's expression finally became extremely serious at this moment. She finally understood why Hisoka called her in advance. Because this guy has far exceeded the level that the contestants in the Sky Arena can have. This is transmuter telekinesis, a pure energy control. But those who can achieve this level are the top existences in the whole world. Ordinary none can never release so many telekinesis bullets. How much telekinesis does this guy have? Maki was extremely shocked. She even had a feeling that even among the members of the brigade, only a few people could deal with this monster. After a round of bombardment, Ulquiorra finally stopped this cat-and-mouse game. His empty eyes looked in the direction of the smoke. The entire ring had been bombarded to pieces, and the referees standing on the edge of the ring were trembling with fear. If this level of attack fell on me, I would definitely die. The smoke gradually dissipated. Everyone finally saw the situation on the ring clearly. The flat ring in the past has now become completely tattered, with no good place. Hisoka, who was being beaten for the hot spot, looked very embarrassed at the moment. His body was covered with scratches. Even his hair was a little messy. Obviously, he was in danger in the escape just now. What a surprise, hey? I was almost hit by you, but after releasing so much energy, you should not have much physical strength now, right? Then it seems that it will be my home court next. Hisoka grinned. His narrow eyes were as cold as a venomous snake. His body moved instantly, faster than before, almost leaving an afterimage. And no one noticed the direction. Some broken stones behind Ulquiorra shot towards his back silently like bullets. Love that can stretch freely. Chapter 83. Ultra Instinct? Swish, swish, swish. Hisoka attacked directly in midair. His cards. After being wrapped in telekinesis, these cards were as lethal as steel blades and could easily cut through a person's body. But compared with the flashes that Ulquiorra had just released, they were not good enough. But the angle he found was very tricky, and even if Ulquiorra tried to block with flashes, he could not completely block these cards. So, draw the sword. Clang Ulquiorra still had no expression on his face when he slashed with a single-handed sword, just like a sword-swinging machine without any emotion. All the cards were shot down in midair. There was a sound of steel colliding, and sparks flew everywhere. And Hisoka took advantage of Ulquiorra's defense and stepped forward, grabbing one of his shoulders strangely. The battle is almost over. Hisoka suddenly smiled. He flicked the 5 fingers of his other hand, and the invisible telekinetic thread shot out from behind like bullets. For safety reasons, the cards that fell to the ground were also resurrected again. In an instant, Ulquiorra was in an absolute dilemma. The battle is over. He was too careless. Hisoka can actually control the stones remotely? What's going on? Washer Dolang looked confused and shook his head in disappointment. Gon and Killua also stared with wide eyes. It's a telekinetic thread. I saw it. Gon exclaimed. On the ring. Ulquiorra didn't realize that he was surrounded at all, but grabbed Hisoka's arm with one hand. The two grabbed each other's arms and wrestled directly. Crack. In the same way of competing for strength. Everyone was shocked to see that Hisoka's right arm was instantly twisted like a knot by Ulquiorra. Then it was torn apart with a sizzling sound and thrown away like medical garbage. Blood splattered. Hisoka hadn't even recovered from the shock of his arm being torn off. The whole wrestling happened in just a moment, and he never dreamed that his strength would be so much worse than that of the kid in front of him. The opponent's arm was like steel, and there was even a strange electric current coming, causing his arm to be paralyzed for a moment. But it was this moment of paralysis that directly caused him to lose the wrestling, and his entire arm was broken. But at least the sneak attack was successful. Bang, 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 the sound of a tooth-grinding collision sounded. Hisoka's pupils suddenly dilated, and he found that he thought the sneak attack would win. The stones and cards that AI manipulated with great ease could not break the opponent's defense. This guy, is his entire body like steel? How could there be such an amazing monster in this world? Enhancer. This guy is an enhancer, but the total amount of his telekinesis is too amazing. After releasing so many virtual flash attacks, he still has such a terrifying telekinesis to strengthen himself? Hisoka was extremely shocked. Only enhancers can do this. Enhancer's telekinesis can directly make paper as hard as steel, and can also turn clothes into steel, and can also act on themselves. However, Hisoka himself is a master of telekinesis, and the telekinesis of this guy in front of him is even higher than him. Grandmaster level. At this moment, countless thoughts emerged in Hisoka's mind. At this moment, he finally realized the horror of this battle. Thunderfoot shaving. But a trace of electric arc remained in its original position. Everyone was shocked to see two Ulquioras appear on the field. No, it was one. It was just because the speed of movement was too fast, resulting in the illusion of visual stasis at the original standing position. In fact, Ulquiorra had already arrived in front of Hisoka. Not good. Hisoka's face suddenly changed, and his own speed was activated to the extreme to try to distance himself. But the next moment, the same stones floated up from behind him. Psychopath. What? This sudden scene shocked everyone instantly. They looked at the floating stones behind Hisoka in disbelief, some of which were even boulders as tall as a person. Compared to Hisoka's, it was completely a small fight. This guy, what kind of ability is this? Hisoka was instantly no longer calm. His expression finally lost control, revealing an extremely shocked look, and even something called fear could be seen emerging. He suddenly ejected several retractable love thoughts, trying to pull himself over. Boom, but a flash of light exploded, directly breaking his telekinetic thread. So, this guy can see his love that stretches and contracts freely from beginning to end. A thought emerged in Hisoka's mind. Then in his field of vision, he saw densely packed stones appearing around him. Ulquiorra just looked at him with an expressionless, empty, and extremely indifferent look, raised his right hand, and then clenched it fiercely. Boom in the extremely shocked eyes of everyone. These stones floating in the air suddenly gathered and compressed. 10,000 things have an attraction. It was just an ability that Lee Ku had developed by himself. But unfortunately, it was not as amazing as Nagato, and it was completely controlled by mental power. In a loud bang, Hisoka was completely wrapped in stones, and his screams resounded throughout the venue. Then all the stones scattered on the ground as if they had lost control, and there was a lot of blood on them. A figure covered in blood fell from it. It was Hisoka. At this moment, he had completely lost the strength to resist, just like a defeated wolf, staring at Ulquiorra with bloodshot eyes, unprecedented shock, hatred, and unwillingness. Boom, another virtual flash fell, hit Hisoka's previous broken arm, and the arm was instantly turned into powder. This is interest. Ulquiorra finally spoke, with a cold voice and empty eyes. It was like a high god looking down at the ants in the mortal world. Liku's mouth also had a slight upward arc. Hisoka's entries were almost squeezed dry by himself. But a strange phenomenon appeared. Ding. Congratulations on defeating the Sky Arena player Hisoka. Ding. Lucky Star talent is activated, and the secret drop. Ding. Congratulations on obtaining the entry Super Intuition Red. Ding. 10% chance to automatically copy the other party's entry. Copy successfully. Congratulations on obtaining Masochism Purple automatically crushed. A voice like the sound of nature rang in Liku's mind. Entry Super Intuition Red Effect. This entry is a special entry. In certain circumstances, you can choose to give up control of your body and give it to Super Intuition. You will have absolute reaction speed and combat intuition. Tisk TSK, TSK. Hisoka's red entry was finally brushed off by himself, and the other entries were no longer important. But the meaning of this entry confirmed that Lee Ku had some thoughts. This thing seems similar to a superstate battle. It's like handing yourself over to a stronger self, a self with pure fighting will and getting absolute reaction and intuition. A youth version of Ultra Instinct? Or what? Hisoka didn't use this ability? or this kind of item is not absolutely activated, it will only be triggered after falling into a desperate situation. In fact, when I use the ability of a mentalist to control the rubble to surround him, unless this guy's own defense is sufficient, he is basically defeated. Obviously, a guy like Hisoka, who is very showy like Yuinga, is a fragile skin. He can't be a hexagonal warrior like himself. Comfortable. But what surprised Liku was, the moment he defeated the opponent, he was surprised to find that Hisoka's item was refreshed. It was not the refresh of the cooldown time, but the appearance of a new item. Revenge Ulquiorra. Red description. You are full of absolute hatred for the target named Ulquiorra, and this hatred will promote your progress again at an astonishing speed. A very simple explanation. But this made Liku realize one thing. That is to say, these entries on all characters are not immutable. For example, Killua has Chidori, green, because this is a skill that has just been learned. Only when the proficiency and skills are continuously improved, the quality will also change. Eventually, it can even turn into golden red, which depends entirely on the user's own investment and dedication to the skill. And Hisoka, directly bursting out red entries, is really surprising. It is indeed a guy like a venomous snake with such deep hatred for the other party. And the explanation of this entry also surprised Liku. In short, it is likely that after this battle, Hisoka will fall into absolute hatred for Ulquiorra, and with the power of this hatred, he will make rapid progress again. This isn't this leak. After cutting one crop, there is another crop. Just keep the roots. Ha ha ha. Perfect. It was precisely because he saw the appearance of this thing that Liku took the initiative to save Hisoka's life. But he made him disabled. I remember that Hisoka's hands were broken by Hua Shirdolang, but they were quickly healed by Maki. How can you fight with yourself without leaving anything behind? Hisoka, you could be a pirate captain in the future. Liku sneered in his heart. He was alone anyway, and he didn't have any worries. And the one who killed and set fire was Zhou Shuren, who had nothing to do with me, Lu Sun. The whole arena paused for a moment. It was very quiet. After a few seconds, it exploded completely. Ulquiorra, 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 Ulquiorra. Ulquiorra's name almost gathered into an ocean in the entire stadium. Countless spectators were shouting enthusiastically, even those contestants above the 200th floor. They looked at the result of the game in disbelief, and the scene that was like a god was still replaying in their minds. A large number of stones floated, and then the battle ended in an instant. This is simply a godlike operation, incredible, too powerful. This seemingly weird but suddenly appeared, and the super evil genius who almost suffocated everyone. This day shocked the entire Sky Arena. Gon was so shocked that he couldn't speak. Killua was even frozen in place. Strong enough to make people angry. He even had a feeling that even his father was not absolutely sure that he could defeat the monster in front of him. The problem is that this guy definitely doesn't look old, and is obviously a young man. Really, it's too depressing. Before, I always thought I was a very good genius, but after meeting Liku and entering the Sky Arena, Killua felt that his qualifications were really getting more and more mediocre, and his 3 views were refreshed again and again. Try hard. Try hard. Only by trying hard can you catch up with these monsters. Killua shouted in his heart. At this moment, Hua Shirdelong's whole body seemed to be hollowed out. His eyes were dull. He looked at the front blankly and sat down on the chair. His mind was still flashing back to the battle scene just now. If Hisoka was replaced by himself, then I'm afraid there is no need to wait until this time. The battle is over, and I have no chance of winning. When Ulquiorra fought with me, he not only held back, but even 1/10 of his strength was useless. Hisoka, who was regarded as a great shame by me, didn't even jump for a long time in front of the opponent, and now he was lying on the ground like a dead dog. This was the scene he wanted to see in his heart. But when he really saw it, Hua Shirdolang felt an unprecedented shock, because the gap in strength between the two sides was too big. This guy is a real genius. A super genius who can suppress the entire era. His future achievements will probably make him a top figure second only to Netero. It is hard to imagine that he would have the experience of fighting with such a terrifying existence. I don't know. This is an honor or despair. Hua Lang smiled bitterly. On the ring. 0-1-4-5-0-1-3-1-7 Faloo 1-3-3-5-0-3-1-0-1. The referees in charge of scoring were also dumbfounded. They didn't expect the battle to end so quickly, and it was a completely one-sided crushing posture. Winner. Ulquiorra. Finally, a referee reacted and shouted loudly. The whole arena was ignited again, and countless people shouted Ulquiorra's name with great excitement. Hisoka has been completely forgotten. Like garbage, it was thrown into the corner of history. At this moment, he was covered in blood, and he didn't even have the strength to move. His bloodshot eyes stared straight ahead, like a dying wolf king. He stared at the other person as he walked step by step in front of him. At this moment, he could only see the other person's shoes and legs. If he wanted to see the other person's face, he had to look up. Too weak. I look forward to your revenge, at least to become stronger, weak ant. Ulquiorra looked down at Hisoka indifferently, and the words he said were like a knife engraved on Hisoka's heart. Chapter 84, I am Aizen Sosuke. The battle is over. Ulquiorra has become the hottest player of the day, and even the most popular player in the entire Sky Arena, because this guy's fighting style is so cool, and he shows a strong sense of oppression. He stood out from the Dark Horse, and even won the title of Demon King. You can imagine what these audiences think of Ulquiorra. All the audiences were very excited about this game, and the tickets were worth it. Hisoka, the former hot figure, has now become a drowned dog that no one cares about. He doesn't even have the strength to stand up now. The audience gradually dispersed. Finally, a figure walked in front of him. It's really an eye-opening game. I didn't expect you to lose so badly, but I have to tell you a very unfortunate news. Your arm is gone. I can treat you, but the consultation fee will be doubled. Maki stood in front of Hisoka and took advantage of the situation without any care. Okay. Hisoka lay on the ground, almost squeezing out the words from his teeth. If you can't pay my consultation fee, you will end up in a terrible situation. Maki helped Hisoka up and took him back to the room for treatment. She was also very surprised. She didn't expect that such a powerful and talented monster could appear in a place like the Sky Arena. If possible, inviting him to join the brigade would definitely be a great achievement. But it is obvious that his personality is very strange and unpredictable. Maybe he will end up like Hisoka. So Maki stopped her dangerous idea. She shouldn't do this kind of thing by herself. She didn't need to do it. Of course, she would tell the leader what happened here. The next few days were more routine. After dealing with Hisoka and Hua Lang, the entire Sky Arena could not find any other interested opponents in a short time. Lika tried to ask about the information of the higher-level players, but was told that it was confidential. Similarly, other players could not directly inquire about the information about Li Ku and his team. Okay, I was originally thinking of brushing some good entries, but it seems that there is no chance now. Hisoka is almost the ceiling level that can be encountered in the Sky Arena. Who knows how long the others will have to wait. The next step is to wait for the match between Gon and Killua. Gon won again directly, and he was matched with Saitama. Again, Killua defeated his opponent and got 110 to see his 9th consecutive victory, but there are no other opponents to challenge in the short term. At present, only Xiaowu has won the honor of the Layer Master. As for the Martial Arts Olympic Games, I was told that I need to wait for another 3 years. It was just held last year. Oh my god. Lika couldn't help but twitch his mouth. It is indeed a very niche gathering. Thank you very much. So after continuing to brush in the Sky Arena for a while, everyone left directly. Brother Ku, the competition in the arena is almost over. Shall we go home together? I said I would show Aunt Mito my hunter license. Gon was very excited. He hadn't been home for half a year. I also want to go to the place where Brother Ku and Gon grew up. Killua was full of expectation. The Black Girl Canaria also returned to the team. She also watched all the games and was shocked, refreshed his understanding of the Sky Arena. Go home? Gon, Killua, you can go to Whale Island on my behalf. This is most of the money I won in the Sky Arena. Please take it back and give it to Aunt Mito and Uncle Cohen. Lika took out his bank card. During this time in the Sky Arena, he accumulated more than 200 million ringgits, which is also considered a small rich man. Brother Ku. Gon was stunned. He originally planned to go back to Whale Island with Lee Ku. It has been half a year since he left Whale Island. Now he misses his family on Whale Island. Since Brother Lee Ku has his own plans, let's go back first. Gon. Killua patted Gon's shoulder very sensibly. Okay, Brother Ku, but we agreed that we will meet in Yokeksen City at that time. Right. Gon was in a good mood again. Anyway, it was not far from Yokeksen City now. Kurapika and Leorio would come back, and everyone would reunite. And he also understood that Lee Ku must have something to do with Canaria, so he couldn't interfere. Of course, you have to pay attention to safety. We will see each other then. It's my intention to help me bring this money back. Lee Ku smiled and stuffed the bank card directly into Gon's hand. Although he was a time traveler, after all, when he was on Whale Island, he had to thank Aunt Mito and other residents on the island for raising him. Ku has always remembered this kindness in his heart. Now that he has the ability, he naturally has to repay it. Yeah, then we have an agreement. Brother Ku, we'll see you then. You should also be careful. Gon and Lee Ku held hands. Killia, Gon, I'll trouble you. Goodbye, Canaria, let's go. Lika said goodbye with a smile. Don't worry, Brother Ku. Killua said goodbye, his eyes slightly red. It can be said that Lee Ku is one of the most important friends in his life. Not only has he been very good to him along the way, he has even taught him new skills. So he also wants to see where Lee Ku grew up. Lika naturally has no time to accompany Gon and the others back to Whale Island. It is true that there are many things on Whale Island that he misses, but as a time traveler, he can see what will happen in the future. The Chimera Ant disaster will break out, and he still needs to do some things. Maybe when the world is peaceful, it won't hurt to go back and see it then. His appearance has changed the fate of this world, and he can't be sure whether all the things in the world will happen as he expected. So what he can do now is to improve his abilities as much as possible. In case of any accidents, he still has absolute control over the situation. If Gon and the others return to Goldfish Island, there won't be much danger. Everything will go smoothly. If nothing goes wrong, they may bring out the card from the game world. So after saying goodbye to the two, Lee Ku went directly to the destination. Meteor Street, District 9. An area made up entirely of garbage mountains. It is rumored that this place has become an area for dumping garbage since 1,500 years ago. The land area of Meteor Street is about the same as that of the Republic of Rabbi, with a population of about 8 million. Everything can be traded here, including guns, drugs, women, bodies, and even children. As soon as you step in, you can smell the disgusting stench in the air. There are piles of garbage, flies, and various scavenging birds landing on them. You can see some people who are hunched over like animals, dirty people picking up garbage with their hands. It is hard to imagine how the residents will grow up in such an environment. It can be said that this is an abandoned world, and no country is willing to govern it, because it is better to let it fend for itself than to govern this area. You can dump garbage from all over the world here without any processing costs. This place has become a public sewage discharge area for various countries. All humans living here are abandoned. After seeing Lee Ku and the black girl appear, those people who picked up garbage like rats just glanced at them and quickly dodged. Lee Ku's eyes swept over these scavengers. They were basically covered with white and green entries, and they also clearly had various negative entries such as disease, infectious disease, and short life. It was difficult for anyone to live past the age of 30 in this Meteor Street. They were raised by the filthy air and polluted water from birth, and there was no chance for them to grow normally. Sir, it has always been like this here. People who live here basically don't live past 30. The outer areas are the lowest class of scavengers. The wealthy gangs occupy the best living environment in the central area where they can drink clean water. But sir, this place is managed by the Elders Council. Although they do not exclude outsiders, it will be very dangerous if they want to interfere with their operations. Kanalia explained everything about Meteor Street to Lee Ku in detail, including the things you need to pay attention to when surviving here. BHCG. She grew up here, so she knows Meteor Street like the back of her hand, and she's also very familiar with the survival rules. This is why Liku specifically asked Kanalia to come here. It took a whole week for Liku to visit the 9th district of Meteor Street under the guidance of Kanalia, but it seems that they are basically some very ordinary people. The entry is very ordinary, but you have to know that most of the Phantom Troop guys were born in Meteor Street, including Zoldix Kikyo and the Black Girl were also born in Meteor Street. They may be in different areas, but the overall meaning is the same. Although a large number of people die in this gray area every year, there are also some outstanding people who stand out from here every year. They have become the source of strong people hired by many countries. After all, in such a harsh environment, those who can survive are the real strong ones. The weak ones have died at a very young age. It's like a breeding environment. Okay, you can go back, Canaria. Thank you for this journey. Liku smiled. Okay, Lord Liku, this is all the information about Meteor Street that I have collected for you. Please accept it, and please be careful here, especially to prevent infection, or if you have any accidents, you can contact me at any time. Canaria bowed deeply, and then handed the booklet she prepared to Liku. Of course, you go back, I understand. Liku sent Canaria away. What he was going to do next was quite dangerous. It was naturally best to fight alone, but it was also convenient to act. Canaria's role was almost over. Although it seemed that the little girl was still unwilling to leave him, there was no need to let her get involved in such a dangerous action. In the future, he was destined to be the one who ate Xiaoli at the top of the world. The Hunter world would also become his unique supplier of entries. So, this back garden naturally needed to be well managed. Meteor Street was different from any other area. The entries in this area had a natural screening effect. Because the weak would die soon after eating the owner, only the strong could survive. Liku naturally didn't want to let go of this piece of fat. So, becoming the king behind Meteor Street was also part of Liku's plan. After making sure that Canaria had left, Liku found a broken house at random and then activated his ability. Thunder Beast Red. After acquiring the ability of a spiritualist, Liku found that the range of his beast's activities had expanded to about 50 kilometers, and the beast will have a certain degree of autonomy. That is, it will act according to the requirements set by Liku, including making judgments, etc. It is equivalent to a simple intelligent AI. If it encounters a complex choice, it will automatically send information to Liku, and Ji-chun will make the decision. In addition, it is made entirely of lightning and telekinesis, which is itself a super mobile power source, and there is no need to worry about battery life. As Liku's strength increases, this ability will also improve. This kind of black glove thing, of course, it is impossible to do it yourself, especially this kind of thing that has become the focus. Don't you see that in the previous life, the rich people were even willing to spend a lot of money every year to buy and erase their names in order not to be on the Forbes list? The first bird to stick out will be shot. This simple truth is still understood. The black boss behind the scenes naturally needs to be replaced. Now in this dark Meteor Street, countless residents are waiting for salvation. They are eager for the arrival of a savior. So the savior is here. The central area of the 9th district. Compared to the outside, you can already see those shabby high-rise buildings here. Although they look shabby, they are completely different from the garbage dump. At least in this area, there are normal water resources and even the extremely expensive clean soft bread. The whole area is surrounded by iron fences, blocking those dirty-looking scavengers from entering, leaving only a few locked doors for passing through. Outside the fence, a large number of scavengers are gathering here because it is the monthly tax payment day again. Even picking up garbage requires paying taxes. It takes more courage to live here than to die. Hee. Damn BD. These things of yours are not enough to pay your taxes this month. Take them to the meat market. The man with yellow hair, nose, lips and ears full of nails, and wearing a leather jacket kicked a skinny scavenger over. Then several Shamat brothers nearby directly lifted up the skinny scavenger and drag him away. The so-called meat market is a place where people are cut into pieces and sold. Eating human flesh in a place like Meteor Street is a luxury, and only rich people can afford it. This idiot is no good. but his face is okay. Take him to the Black Cave and wait until he is played to death before taking him to the meat market. The lip nail man looked at the numb eyes of the woman wrapped in dirty and messy cloth and laughed obscenely. Several brothers immediately came over to lift up the wrapped woman and prepare to leave. None of the numerous scavengers nearby dared to say a word of no. Everyone was like a frightened mouse, with fear, unwillingness, and despair in their eyes. The skinny girl's eyes were also empty and numb, and she had obviously given up on this world. What a cruel act. Suddenly, a tall figure walked slowly in the distance. His voice was not loud, but it seemed out of place here and was clearly heard by everyone. It was confirmed that countless eyes could see through him. He was dressed in a white errand car, had a handsome face, a strand of curly bangs on his forehead, and a katana on his waist. He was tall and straight, dressed cleanly and neatly, and didn't look like someone who lived in Meteor City at all. "Who are you?" The nail man stared at the strange guy in front of him with some vigilance. The other party was obviously not a low-level scavenger with such a dress, so he was a little afraid. "I am Aizen Sosuke." Aizen Leek smiled slightly like a gentleman. Chapter 85 Emitter Telekinesis Talent. Gold, Aizen Sosuke. The man with the lip nail frowned, as if he had thought about it, but he did not think of a guy called Aizen Sosuke, who was quite famous in Meteor Street. "Boss, I have never heard of this person. He is a stranger. It seems that this guy is not from our Meteor Street, but from outside. Boss, the clothes and martial arts on this guy should be quite valuable." The few people behind him circled in the direction of Aizen Sosuke without leaving a trace. They cooperated very well, and the scavengers avoided them. Hey, this is the 9th district. Since you are here, please pay the tax now." The man with the lip nail grinned and played with his dagger. "Pay the tax." Aizen Sosuke, Liku asked curiously. "Air tax, land tax, and head tax. If you add them all up," the lip nail man began to calculate. "Anyone here needs to pay 1 second of tax for every extra second they live. In this world comparable to hell, the courage required to survive is definitely far greater than that required to die. Alas, there is no tax. Let your boss come over and tell him that from today on, the owner of the area has changed." Aizen Sosuke, Lee Ku, shook his head. "Looking for death. You don't know what you're talking about. Kill him." The lip nail man grinned, and he hadn't finished his words. A white flash burst out from Aizen Sosuke, Lee Ku's fingertips. Mind bomb. Of course, this imitated the Padao Hakulii. It doesn't matter. These minions in front of him are just a group of white and green words. On the contrary, the ragged skinny girl next to him made Lee Ku look twice. At least looking at the past, the best entry was on the little girl who picked up rags. The flash disappeared. There was a transparent, burnt hole in the middle of the lip nail man's forehead, and even wisps of black smoke could be seen coming out. He still kept insulting, but the body slowly fell down. The sudden scene made several young men next to him stay where they were, and 3 of them seemed to want to fight and rushed up. 3 white thunders fell. Suddenly, there were 3 more dead bodies. In the end, the remaining 2 men were so scared that their legs softened on the spot, and they knelt on the ground with a thud, kowtowing like garlic and begging for mercy. "Forget it. You take me there, and go directly to the person in charge of the 9th district, who should be the so-called boss in your mouth." Lika said expressionlessly. Weakness, Blue." The girl stared at Aizen Liku blankly, hesitated for 2 seconds, and finally a glimmer of light appeared in her empty eyes, and she nodded heavily. The 2 younger brothers took Liku away. Not long after, the wealthy area of District 9, in a luxuriously decorated small villa, a fat man with a big head and a hideous scar on his face was doing piston movements on several women, and the air was filled with various smells. Boom, the door was kicked open directly. The fat man was so frightened that he trembled all over and directly picked up the woman under him as a shield and picked up the pistol he had placed under the pillow. Bang, a white thunder flashed by. His arm was instantly broken, blood spurted out, and the fat man screamed like a pig being slaughtered. "I give you 2 choices. Take me to see the elders of District 9 or die." Aizen Liku walked out of the broken door and looked down at him from above. The central area of District 9. A woman with tattoos all over her body and a very hot body was lying lazily on the bed, playing with a bloody thorn whip, and several naked male slaves were kneeling beside her and trembling. Not far away, there was even a dead male slave with purple holes all over his body. Lady Erica saw Jean from the Black Street, sent a message asking for help. He was attacked. A member dressed as a gangster came in and knelt on the ground through the curtain. Are they the rats from the Black Street? The woman sat up, stepped on the back of a male slave with her feet covered with strange tattoos, and then walked down. She was wearing very cool clothes, and the large area of strange tattoos made her look inexplicably strange. Suddenly, her brows frowned slightly. There was a sound of fighting not far away, but soon disappeared. Then two figures pushed open the door and walked in slowly. Azon Liku and the skinny girl Lillian. You must be hungry. There is some bread here. It looks good. Eat it. Liku rubbed the girl's head. He had let her wash it on the fat pig's territory. She was actually a very beautiful girl. It was a pity that she lived in this bottom world and her eyes were dull. Lillian glanced at Liku and then sat aside and ate bread incomparably obediently. Even the various murders that happened along the way seemed to have no feelings at all. This is the boss's. The henchman next to him wanted to say something, but a white thunder fell, and he died instantly. The garbage entry was almost meaningless and was directly shattered. The female gangster boss named Erica's pupil shrank, staring at the little brother who had just died. She didn't even see the other party's attack method clearly. For a while, the whole room fell into a strange silence. Those trembling male slaves, and the so-called elder who was in charge of the 9th district in front of them, plus Lillian who was sitting there, eating quietly. Finally, everyone looked at Lillian who had finished the bread, and Erica tried to speak. Friend, maybe it's just some misunderstandings. What do you want? Money? Women? Even me? As long as you ask, it's not impossible to talk. Erica rarely took the initiative to make concessions. Aizen Liku glanced at her. Name, Erica, the boss of the 9th district entries. Emitter telekinesis talent. Purple, conjurer telekinesis talent. Purple, cruel. Purple, telekinesis poison spider. Purple, sadism. Purple, etc. Just barely. At least compared to other people, it's nothing. You? I'm not interested in you. When will the bosses of other districts gather? Gather them together. This Meteor Street should have a master. Azon Liku spoke expressionlessly. Anyway, this is a no man's land. It's completely a matter of survival. No matter how much noise he makes, no one will take it seriously. You mean the Council of Elders? Let Meteor Street have a master? The tattooed woman Erica sneered, staring at Aizen Liku with a hint of heat. This man is much better than his slaves. It would be a wonderful thing to subdue this man and make him moan at his feet. Stay here. You destroyed my Black Street, and the account has not been settled yet. You can't escape now. The woman laughed wildly. There were rustling sound around. Looking around, suddenly saw a large number of purple spiders appear in the room, rushing towards Aizen Liku. This is Erica's specialty. She has defeated opponents who are stronger than herself in this way. 014501317 Faloo 1335034661. You only need to control your telekinesis remotely. These spiders can kill the opponent. I really don't know how you can be the boss of this area with your IQ. Azon sighed helplessly. Buzz with him as the center. A terrifying pressure emerged. Spiritual psychic master pressure. In an instant, the whole area seemed to be burdened with hundreds of pounds. The coverage area was hundreds of meters wide. The woman groaned and almost fell to the ground, and the telekinetic poisonous spiders she created were like firecrackers, exploding one after another. This was originally a competition of telekinesis. How could she be better than Ji-Ku? And Li Ku's telekinesis control was very exquisite, and there was no impact on Lillian's position. For ordinary people like this, their internal organs would probably be crushed in an instant. Several male slaves had fallen to the ground and died, and the younger brother who reported the news screamed and died. As the telekinetic spiders exploded one after another, Liku directly put more pressure on the woman in front of him. I have to say that the ability of the psychic master is amazing. It is difficult for ordinary telekinetic skills to directly exert pressure on the target, but this special effect of the psychic master can do it. Crack. The tattooed woman standing in place looked very ugly. The floor under her feet cracked, and her expression was extremely horrified. Please give flowers. She wanted to move her steps, but she felt as if a mountain was suppressing her body. She couldn't even speak. I will give you two choices. You will be Lillian's deputy in the future and be responsible for the daily operation of Meteor Street, but I will implant telekinesis in your will. Once you betray, your brain will explode and die, or you can choose to die. If you agree, just blink your eyes. Azone Liko walked forward and looked at the Azure woman expressionlessly. He didn't have so much time to come here to slowly develop. Now that his force is enough, it is most appropriate to choose the way of sweeping. As for why he brought the stranger Lillian with him, because this woman has the entry of absolute loyalty. In fact, for Liku, it doesn't matter who becomes the boss of Meteor Street. He only needs to be the boss behind the scenes and collect money. So the most important thing is not ability, but loyalty. Things like ability can be left to the mind beast to solve. If Liku's real combat power is fully activated now, it is definitely above Netero. Even if the blackening effect is not activated, it is definitely the level of Temple Special Zero. With this level of combat power, it is naturally easy to sweep across an area, let alone a place like Meteor Street where no one knows what is going on. The woman blinked in horror. She has completely understood that the gap in strength between her and Liku is too big. Even before the other party made a move, she has completely lost the power to resist. Ding! You defeated Erica, the elder of the 9th District of Meteor Street. Ding! The Lucky Star ability is triggered, and the designated drop is Conjurer Talent. Purple. Ding! 10% probability to automatically copy the target entry. Copying is successful. Ding! Congratulations on copying Emitter Talent. Purple. Ding! You have Emitter Talent Dual Purple. The entry is automatically merged. Congratulations on obtaining the entry Emitter Telekinesis Talent. Gold. The system prompt sound in my mind is also very good. He actually got the two most important entries directly. Of course, Liku is now a real hexagonal warrior. Aizen Liku lightly tapped his finger, and Ishur Dao's telekinesis like lightning was implanted into Erica's head. This is not the so-called betrayal implant. In fact, Liku does not have the ability to forcibly control the other party's consciousness. It is just a means of threat, a microelectric bomb that can last for about half a year. As long as Liku controls it with his mind, it can be directly detonated. Let the other party's head explode. My lord, Erica is willing to follow your arrangement. The woman knelt down tremblingly, but she was still extremely surprised in her heart because the other party said that she would become the deputy commander of the entire Meteor Street. What is this? But it must be said that the strength of the man in front of her is far beyond her. Take me to meet the other Meteor Street elders. Aizen Liku ordered. My lord, those people are not together unless I initiate a regional meeting in my name. But my lord, those guys are very powerful, and the 9th District belongs to the middle-level forces in the entire Meteor Street. If you want to complete the unification of the entire Meteor Street, I am afraid it will be very difficult and very dangerous. Erica trembled. Let's hold a regional meeting and call everyone here. Aizen Liku was too lazy to explain. Also, we're more clothes in front of me in the future. I hate you tattoos. BA. Soon. Erica called the elders to redivide the area, but only about half of the guys responded, and some didn't even bother her. After changing her clothes, the tattooed girl Erica, who looked more normal, kept a certain distance from Liku. She was completely scared now. Let them wait first. For the other few families who don't want to come to the meeting, you mark them and take me there. Also, arrange for your people to protect Lillian. She will be the boss of this area in the future. Aizen Liku ordered. Understood. Sir. Erica trembled. She really wanted to tell Liku that going like this would be tantamount to committing suicide. Could it be that Jinping and the other two wanted to sweep away other forces? This This is too unrealistic. Soon, Lillian was left in the 9th district, and Liku directly ordered Erica to lead the way. Let's go. It's time for us to bring warmth to the community. Chapter 86. Too weak. Let's stop here Meteor Street. On the way to the 4th district. My lord, sir, should we change the target of punishment? This angry bear knocks from the 4th district. This guy is very strong, even catching up with the number 1 Flame Brandon. Erica couldn't help but remind him. After she initiated the request for the elders meeting, the other districts gave face to participate, mainly because Erica was a subordinate of Flame Brandon from the 1st district, and everyone thought it was Brandon who wanted to speak. But even with Brandon's prestige, it is impossible to summon all of them now. The angry bear knocks from the 4th district didn't listen at all, and several other elders also chose not to reply. I don't have so much time to play games with you here. After dealing with this Meteor Street, it will be handed over to Lillian and you. Azon Liku said expressionlessly. This guy is absolutely crazy. Although he can easily suppress himself, if he wants to be an enemy of the entire Meteor Street at the same time, it is not much different from seeking death. But now Erica's head is equipped with lightning bombs, and she has no choice. The area of the 4th district is obviously larger than that of the 9th district, and there is more garbage piled up, and there are obviously more scavengers in it. Obviously, this area is more resistant to wealth than the 9th district. Just look at these brothers outside the core area. Erica, that be CH, actually initiated the elders meeting, saying that she wants to redivide the area. The BCH is really so inflated that she can't tell the difference between the small pressure. But it seems that Boss Knox ignored her, otherwise I was really going to follow the boss to slap her. That woman is the subordinate of Boss Brandon in District 1. Could it be that Boss Brandon meant it? Brandon is nothing, and our boss has the final say in the future. Several brothers were chatting casually and eating fruit snacks comfortably. For ordinary releasers, these things are almost impossible to eat in their lifetime. But as the gangsters here, they can enjoy them comfortably. Erica? UBCH, why are you not in your own area? Coming here? Is this the little white face you have recently raised? He looks really tender and delicate. A sharp-eyed younger brother saw Erica, and Aizen Liku stood up and said bluntly. Aizen Liku was too lazy to talk to such a loser. However, the item of this little monster is still good, and a blue item has appeared. It seems that Nox's younger brother is obviously stronger than Erica. Aizen Liku just glared at the other party. Mental telekinesis. Buzz in an instant, this dirty-mouthed henchman seemed to be pushed by a terrifying force. With a bang, the whole person was flattened against the wall and turned into a meat paste. There is no need to specify the garbage items to drop. Killing the opponent will 100% randomly plunder. Keep the skills and repeat them directly into experience points. FK. Kill him. Damn it. Notify the boss. Shoot. Shoot. The younger brothers present were instantly pale and pulled out their guns from their waists. As a gangster in Meteor Street, they got some hot weapons from other countries. These are definitely useful for ordinary people. Even some low-level none can't stand it. Get out of the way, Erica exclaimed softly, taking out her steel whip to block the bullets. But suddenly her eyes widened. With a look of seeing a ghost, she stared at Li Ku's direction. She was horrified to find that the bullets actually stopped around Li Ku one by one. Just like the slow picture of a movie lens, the bullets floated around Li Ku's body, densely. Ravage. The next moment, the bullets bounced back. Puff, puff, puff. The sound of bullets piercing the flesh one after another, blood splashed. The lackeys who shot at Li Ku all fell to the ground one by one after the other. The system prompts also rang in Li Ku's mind one after another. They were all very rubbish entries. At least they were used as experience points. It was only 3 seconds before the dozen or so lackeys with good strength just now had all turned into corpses and fell to the ground, with holes all over their bodies, all of which were caused by the bullets they shot. Erica couldn't help but shudder when she saw this scene. She suddenly felt a little fortunate that she didn't fight Li Ku to the end. Just this kind of ability looked extremely weird. She was 100% sure that the other party must be a telekinetic master, but being able to bounce all these bullets back in all directions without dead ends, this kind of controllability was far beyond her understanding. And the other party's telekinesis was very weird, definitely not the way of ordinary nun. You don't come over here. The only remaining henchman was trembling all over, holding a grenade in his hand and pulling the pull ring with the other hand. But his eyes were full of fear, and he had no awareness of taking the initiative. He swore he had been in this meteor street for a lifetime, and this was definitely the first time he had seen such a monster. In just 3 seconds, all the brothers were dead in an instant. Even holding this grenade in his hand did not give him any sense of security, but a fishy and yellow liquid flowed down his trouser legs. Azome walked slowly in front of him, then gently took the grenade and pulled out the grenade pin in front of him. Then held it in his hand. Wrapped in mental power, Azome really wanted to try out how strong his ability would be. Now he has all kinds of black and red entries, and is definitely a monster among monsters. The rare gold entries are the most common in my attribute panel, and the purple ones are almost the same as the white ones. With the entry plundering system, I don't even need to hone any skills. I just need to continuously stack entries to become a real attribute monster. This horrific scene scared the henchman so much that he was paralyzed and fell to the ground. He hugged his head like an ostrich, wanting to stick his head into the ground. Boom, a deafening explosion sounded. Erica's eyes widened. She felt that Liku was completely crazy. Even a strong man of her level would never dare to pinch a grenade with his hands. This is not much different from seeking death. It's over. How should I explain to this idiot Nox after this madman dies? Erica was confused, but also relieved. For the next second, her pupils shook violently. Her mouth opened so wide that she could almost fit 2 duck eggs, and she looked at the scene in front of her in disbelief. The whole person was not blown away as expected, nor was there a scene of shattered limbs and broken bodies flying everywhere. The grenade exploded in Liku's hand, but was forcibly compressed and controlled by an invisible force. You can see with your own eyes that the red flames that burst suddenly expanded and then were forcibly compressed. It was directly held by Aizen Liku's left hand, and then, with a click, the grenade turned into a small ball of compressed metal fragments and fell to the ground. The strong wind that blew just made Aizen Liku's white clothes flutter without causing any damage. The surviving henchmen and Erica were dumbfounded. Crazy. Monster. Dream? All kinds of thoughts flashed through the minds of the two. But one of them went to report to Mark. Aizen Liku just walked past the henchman and released his mental power. It was like an invisible giant hammer fell from the sky. He was smashed into a meat pie and blood foam, and the splashing blood foam could not touch Aizen Liku at all. What useful ability. The mental power effect is more operational than ordinary mental power. Liku exclaimed in his heart. Who are you? I, the angry bear Nox, should not have offended you. If you come for money, as long as you open a number, it is not a problem within my tolerance range. 0145013117 Faloo 133513041. A hearty and loud voice came from the tall building in front. A burly figure suddenly jumped out and fell heavily to the ground like a tank with a bang. Name: Nox, the boss of the 4th District entry. Enhancer telekinesis talent gold. Berserk, purple. Beast transformation, purple. Human flesh addiction, purple. XY vigorous, purple, etc. Not bad. Azome Liku's eyes lit up and he smiled. In front of him was a guy who was nearly 3 meters tall and had muscles like a brown bear. He had a hideous scar on his face and one eye was blind, but he looked even more powerful. After hearing this, Erica's face instantly brightened, and Nox even smiled unexpectedly. How much do you want? Nox narrowed his eyes and glanced at the dead brothers behind Liku. He had noticed it when the gunfight just happened, and even saw Liku crush the grenade with his own eyes. He is definitely a very difficult guy. If money can solve it, try not to conflict with this guy. At least that's what Nox thinks. Money? I don't need this thing. I'll give you one last chance. From now on, follow Erica's command. The whole Meteor Street should no longer be divided like this. Azome Liku spoke calmly. Huh? Ha ha. Ha ha ha. Are you kidding? My territory was won with every sword and every gun. Why should I just hand it over to you? You don't really think you can beat me? Nox was stunned for a moment, then laughed in anger, his muscles trembling. His strength is among the best in the entire Elders Council, and he ranks very high. Is far better than Erica. The opponent is a squishy and can be beaten by himself. Then hurry up. Let me see how strong is it? Can you interest me a little bit? Eisenlich said with a slight smile. Little BD, since you want to die, I will grant your wish. Nox growled, and his body swelled up at a speed visible to the naked eye. Originally close to 3 meters in height, it has now grown to almost the level of 2 floors. Eisen was like a child in front of him. Even his skin's surface showed a lot of dense hair, and the whole thing looked like a brown bear. Beast transformation. Rage. Enhancerkin. This guy is worthy of being the boss of Meteor Street, and is definitely at the level of an iron plate tank. At least among the ordinary strongmen, he is a real leader. Boom, 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 with each step taken by the giant in front of him, the ground trembled slightly. Erica, who was standing next to Eisenlich, looked even paler. Rox, who had entered a berserk state, was strong enough to easily crush her. Her attack was like scraping to the opponent. My lord, this guy's berserk state has a time limit. Let's avoid him first. After his berserk time is over, he will be at our mercy. She reminded him hurriedly. After Nox transformed into a beast and went berserk, even Brandon was unwilling to fight him head-on. He was a complete city destroyer. Kaka, the sound of steel and concrete cracking that made people's teeth ache sounded, and Erica's face changed suddenly. I only saw that the nearly 2-story tall Nox directly pulled out a nearby alloy pole that was as thick as a person's arms. Grunt. He exhaled hot breath and swung the huge steel pole and smashed it hard on Eisenlich's head. Go to hell, Angry Bear, Nox roared. Boom, a violent explosion. The alloy pole hit Eisenlich's head, but a surprising scene appeared. It seemed that there was an invisible giant hand on Lich's head, grabbing the pole and preventing it from moving forward. Erica even witnessed with her own eyes that the alloy pole was slowly twisting at a speed visible to the naked eye. Not bad power, but still too weak. Lich shook his head with some disappointment. 0.4, this guy is really strong, and in terms of pure power, he can even suppress Hisoka's level. Oh, I can't suppress myself at all. The talent of a psychic is only purple, but there is no way. Lich's foundation is too good, and all kinds of attributes are too strong. For example, the purple talent has a 100% bonus, and the gold talent has a 500% bonus. But Lich's basic attribute is 1W, and the opponent's basic attribute is only 100. Even if the opponent is on all kinds of drugs, he can't catch up with Lich. If it's just this level, then the game is almost over. Eisenlich shook his head disappointedly. Meteor Street is Meteor Street, after all, a gathering place for a group of garbage. Of course, there are many poor people among them, but it is difficult for the top strong people to appear in such a harsh environment. Maybe the group of people in the brigade should be almost the strongest in the history of Meteor Street. The guy who stayed here to show off his power obviously belongs to losers, people eliminated by the times. Mental telekinesis. A huge and surging telekinesis surged out, and Ronning Knox's face suddenly changed. He suddenly found that he couldn't swing this electric pole. That end seemed to be welded shut. My strength had increased 5-fold, but why? That guy didn't even move his hands. Angry Bear Knox's face turned red, and his muscles were shaking violently, as if he had reached the limit of his strength. Let go. Eisenlich suddenly smiled and said. More surging power emerged, and Angry Bear Knox couldn't hold it in an instant, and his hands broke and bled. A 20-meter-high steel pole was lifted up. It was held by an invisible hand like a huge hammer, and smashed down on Angry Bear Knox. Chapter 87, Enhancer Grandmaster Red. True Super Speed, Regeneration Gold. Angry Bear Knox roared to the sky and raised his huge hands desperately. Boom, boom, boom. A deafening muffled sound. The earth was shaking, and the surrounding buildings were falling dust. Erica, who was standing next to him, felt her mind go blank Her eyes were completely straight, and a chill came out of her back. She was now extremely grateful for her choice. At the time, she did not get carried away and chose to fight this guy to death. Even if she became his servant or slave captive, it didn't matter. At least she could survive. This guy is simply a monster. A complete monster. In front of him, Angry Bear Nox was like a nail under the hammer and was actually smashed into the trap soil by Li Ku's huge electric pole. His muscular arms were bleeding at this moment. His head was also broken and bleeding. His whole body was like a nail that was hit into the ground, with only his head exposed. And it was obvious. The violent effect disappeared. It was definitely not because the time was up, but because Li Ku had beaten it back. At this moment, the eyes of the strong man who tried to get involved in the leader of Meteor Street were full of fear. There was no longer the previous arrogance and mania, only complete fear. He was scared. He felt like his arms were broken, and he had no feeling. He didn't know how many bones were broken all over his body. But the guy in front of him was still standing in front of him with a smile. From beginning to end, the other party didn't even move. Monster. It's definitely a monster. This guy is not even human. Nox's mentality is completely broken. Let me go. Let me go. I am willing to follow the arrangement of the adults. I was wrong. I was wrong. Only Rox, with his head exposed, begged for mercy frantically, and his teeth were broken. He looked extremely miserable. Even if his younger brother was resurrected, he would never believe what he saw. This man would be the former Meteor Street boss with a breeze. Too late. Aizen Li Ku smiled slightly and slowly pulled out the sword across his waist. The sharp blade reflected his handsome face and slightly raised corners of his mouth. No. No, 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 no. Sir, I can help you. I can 17. He didn't finish his words. A bright knife light flashed. The huge head of the angry bear, Nox, flew up, and blood gushed out of the broken neck like a gust of water. He even retained the terrified expression on his head, and he opened his mouth slightly and wanted to say something, but he couldn't say a word. Ding! Congratulations on killing the angry bear Nox. Randomly plundering the opponent's entries. Ding! Plundering success. Ding! Congratulations on obtaining Enhancer Talent Gold, Zhenhua UI, Worker Ding. Detected that you have a higher level entry. Blackening, Black Beast, Automatic Crushing, Ding. Detected that you have Enhancer, Double Gold plus Purple plus Double Blue. Automatic Fusion, Ding. Congratulations on obtaining Enhancer Telekinesis Grandmaster. Red, a heavenly sound rang in Li Ku's mind. And countless energies poured into Li Ku's limbs and bones, rapidly strengthening his body and cells. A large amount of information about Enhancer Telekinesis was also introduced into his mind. Enhancer Telekinesis Grandmaster Red. Perfect. Great. The talent items that Li Ku has now. Conjurer Telekinesis Grandmaster Red. Enhancer Telekinesis Grandmaster Red. Double Red. It won't be long before he can become a true hexagonal warrior, with all 6 systems in red. Really happy. Li Ku is in a great mood at the moment. Meteor Street has to be said to be a gratifying wild map. The drop of this dungeon boss is really touching. Erica is still dumbfounded at the moment. Including the outer area, there are many gang members in the 4th area who heard the movement and rushed over. And now they are also staring at the boss who has lost his head. Gulu. Boss, dead. Ow, how is this possible? The boss entered the state of crazy exposure bear, and he's still lost. Is this guy who killed the boss? Then we, together, kill him. A large number of gang members have arrived. But now, in Li Ku's vision, they're basically nothing but chickens and dogs. The entries of the members below are so weak that there is not even a purple one. Really weak. But think about it. Meteor Street is different from any other country outside. The first thing to do when becoming the boss in this place is probably to eliminate any guy who is against you. Maybe before I arrived, or when this area was in chaos, there were other equally powerful opponents. But after Nox ruled this area, he wiped out all the enemies. Really a bunch of idiots. The entries are wasted. But now it's good. I decided to reorganize this area. In the future, the entire Meteor Street will become a place where I can continuously provide entries. And the biggest advantage of having a territory of your own is that you can get some rare entries with the highest probability, such as rare lucky series or characteristic series, etc. I will set rules to keep the stronger guys in Meteor Street as much as possible, waiting for me to brush the entries. Maximize the benefits. How dare you kneel down and beg for mercy? Your boss Rox is dead. I am Erica, the ninth one. This is Lord Eisen. From now on, Lord Eisen is the master of this land. If you still stand, you will be regarded as wanting to go against our master, and I, Erica, will make you live a life worse than death. Erica reacted and stood in front of Liku, acting as a mouthpiece, and she directly rolled off the head of a thug next to her with an iron whip. The cruelty of the means scared the thugs around them so much that their legs trembled, and they knelt down one after another like the wind blowing wheat. If you want to survive in Meteor Street, the first thing is put down your dignity. Lika looked at Erica with some satisfaction. Take the head and go to the next house to send warmth. Yes, sir. Erica lowered her head, not daring to look at Liku, her voice full of unprecedented respect and awe. At this moment, she was in awe of the person who suddenly broke into her life. Even Nox, who was arrogant and suppressed her on weekdays, has now become a corpse. She understood that the only way for her to survive and be reused in the future was to be absolutely loyal to Liku and to assist Lillian with absolutely iron-blooded means to turn Meteor Street into Liku's back garden. Erica, who liked to abuse men in the past, looked at the back of Eisen, Liku leaving with a dazed look. This Meteor Street, I'm afraid it's going to change. Meteor Street, Inner Ring Central District, Elders Council. At one end of the long table, an old man with a thin face, who was meticulously dressed in a gorgeous robe, was about 60 years old and squinted slightly. The first district, Blazing Brandon. He suppressed Meteor Street with an absolutely iron-blooded approach and took the position of the first person in charge. Erica is one of his confidants. The areas he controls are not only the 1st and 9th districts, but also the 2nd and 10th districts. He is the uncrowned king of Meteor Street. And Nox, who is in the limelight, rose a few days ago and is gaining momentum. Everyone is still looking forward to watching the good show of these two guys. Hey, Boss Brandon, what are you calling us here for? The man with short golden hair and playing with a dagger smiled and showed a big golden tooth. The elder of the 3rd district, the big golden tooth. Why are we here, but Erica and the others haven't arrived yet? Brandon, I don't plan to let you manage our 6th district. We listen to Nox. I have no objection to redividing the area. How much do you plan to give to our 11th district? There are only 8 people in charge of the 13 districts, and their expressions are full of playfulness. Even if Brandon is the elder of the 1st district, it is unrealistic to arrange all of them at the same time. Brandon had a gloomy face at the moment and did not refute these. He was waiting for the news from his subordinates. My lord, something happened in the 9th district. I'm afraid that BCH Erica has betrayed you. She has gone to the city to find trouble with Rox. I'm worried that this will cause a conflict between us and that guy Rox. A capable deputy came over and whispered. The old man Brandon's face was gloomy. Quiet. He knocked on his cane, and the whole scene slowly quieted down. Everyone, it's not me who invited everyone to attend the meeting this time, but Erica, the person in charge of the 9th district, and unfortunately, I have to tell you that Erica has chosen to draw a line with God. Brand's words instantly shocked the other persons in charge present. What? Brandon, are you kidding? Everyone knows that woman is your lackey. Really? Brandon, you know that if you say that, you won't be able to help us kill Erica. Heh. The people present are all smart, and they obviously don't believe Brandon's words. After all, everyone knows that Erica's District 9 belongs to Brandon, and she is just helping to manage it. Indeed, it is my District 9, Erica, who summoned everyone here. Suddenly the door was pushed open. Erica, who was covered in tattoos but dressed in gorgeous clothes, walked in. Behind her was Eisen Liku and Lillian, who was called in after changing into clean clothes. What? Brandon, it seems that you are old and can't even control your own subordinates. This is really disappointing news. Erica, do you know what you were saying now? The people sitting in front of you are the heads of 8 districts. I am busy grabbing territory, and you tell me that you asked me to come here? A pair of fierce eyes stared at Erica, and then glanced at the inconspicuous Aizen, Liku, and Lillian behind him. Hey, Erica, you know this is a meeting of elders, and you still bring your male slaves here? Big Gold Teeth sneered. Erica, what are you calling everyone here for? Brandon glanced at Erica coldly. He felt that his authority had been offended. If the other party can't give a satisfactory explanation, he wanted to suggested that the person in charge of the 9th District be replaced. Brandon and you, from today, Meteor Street should have a new owner. This is Lord Aizen. From today, Erica, the 9th District, and the 4th, 3rd, 12th District. These areas will all be subordinate to Lord Aizen and Lady Lillian. Erica respectfully made way and gave the seat that originally belonged to her to Liku. Aizen Liku sat down with a faint smile, and Erica and Lillian stood beside him obediently, like maids. And sitting next to Liku was the Big Gold Tooth. Sorry, I should have come here quickly, but a few of the guys who went there didn't want to come to the meeting, so I went to notify them. Like said with a gentlemanly smile. Hee. Notify? How? I didn't see Nox and a group of Shabi coming here. And who do you think you are? There's no place for you here. Erica, you like men on top and women on bottom now. Big Gold Teeth grinned. Shut your dog mouth. Snap. The poison steel whip was thrown out, but Big Gold Teeth dodged it directly. 293 Erica threw a bunch of things on the table. Big Gold Teeth and other leaders stood up and prepared to fight. There are no rules in a place like Meteor Street. Whoever has the bigger fist is the rule. Brandon's eyes also showed a trace of anger, as if ready to burst out at any time and burn Erica, who betrayed him, to ashes. This BD actually chose to betray himself. For such a pretty boy. But just when everyone was ready to take action, the pile of things on the table scattered. It was a bloody head. Nox, the head of the 4th District, the head of the 3rd District, the head of the 12th District. The guys who were very familiar in the past have now become corpses, and their heads are placed in front of everyone. Their faces still maintained expressions of fear, despair, and anger. It is conceivable how much shock and reluctance he suffered before his death. Aizen Liku was in a good mood, because after these disobedient guys were killed, he got a lot of good things. Some entries even evolved directly. Transmute a Master of Telekinesis Gold. True Super Speed Regeneration Gold. The latter is the real surprise. Super Speed Regeneration is a purple entry that comes out from the landmine mushroom. I didn't expect that after killing a boss, a similar entry would appear, and it was double purple. Then he pushed this entry directly to gold. Now Liku can heal even if his heart is destroyed unless his head explodes instantly. Perfect. Comfortable. So even if these guys in front of him are full of shit, Liku is in a very good mood at the moment. Liku looks at these people as if he is looking at his own pigs. Watching them howling here, wait until the new year to slaughter them all. That's a wave of fat. And the entries on each of these guys look very good. TSK, TSK, TSK. I like being here the most. Everyone here is talented. The better you are, the happier I am. Liku smiled at his heart. After seeing these heads that suddenly appeared in front of him, the entire conference room fell into a strange state of silence. Those guys who were originally ready to continue to spit shit also hurriedly braked at this moment, staring at those heads with wide eyes in disbelief. Especially after seeing Nox's head. Many guys' heads were buzzing. Even Brandon, the boss of the 1st District, felt his heart pounding. This Nox was the guy who was about to fight with him, but he didn't expect to die directly. Everyone, can I talk to you now about the issue of the future division of Meteor Street? We are all civilized people. Aizen Liku smiled elegantly and gentlemanly. Chapter 88, Can you light a candle for me? You little flame, but this smile fell into the eyes of others, making them feel a wave of fear. Only then did they realize that the person sitting in front of them was not a sheep, but most likely a tiger that had just eaten a human with meat scraps in its teeth. Friend, Meteor Street does not exclude anyone. In this case, from now on you will be the boss of District 9 and District 4. I, Brandon, will be the boss of District 1. Brandon cleared his throat and spoke, and a smile appeared on his wrinkled face like old tree bark. because he couldn't see through the guy in front of him at all. The other party did not show any emotional fluctuations from beginning to end. It seemed that even if he was sitting here, he did not feel any tension, and he did not realize that there were wolves watching him. There are only two possibilities for this situation. One is that the other party is a lunatic, and the other is that the other party is absolutely confident in his own strength. He does not take everyone, including himself, seriously at all. Whichever it is, to be honest, Brandon does not want to see it. Brandon's attitude change also changed the faces of other elders present, and they finally realized that something was wrong. Erica stood behind Liku at this moment, but she couldn't help but get excited. In the past, she played the role of Brandon's lackey. Although she was nominally the boss of District 9, everyone knew that she was just a person responsible for collecting rent, and Brandon was the man behind the scenes. But now, she felt that those guys finally looked at her differently, no longer as bad as before. Everything was willing to the man in front of her. Lord Eisen. Lillian sat aside with a hollow look in her eyes. She had also decided to dedicate everything she had to Lord Eisen. This lord saved her from hell. She would use everything to be loyal to him. No matter what Eisen asked her to do, she would not hesitate. Friend? No, you're not qualified to be my friend, but if you can perform well, I can allow you to be my dog. Eisen Liku smiled and glanced at the person in front of him. Name, Brandon, the boss of District 1 entry. Emitter's psychic talent, gold. Fire psychic, gold. Fire python technique, gold. Fire clone, purple, disguise purple. Cold blood, purple. Others as expected of the person in charge of District 1. He has 3 gold items, including skills. But he is definitely at the top level in Meteor City. The other elders present are much worse, without a single gold item. What a weakling. No wonder a fool like Nox has the ability to shake the so-called chief position. But although he is a weakling, he is basically purple or blue and has some psychic talent. It's still mediocre. It's highly likely the group of people in the brigade are really geniuses who stand out in Meteor City. Eisen's words instantly made the faces of the other people in charge become extremely gloomy. You should know that they are also like emperors in this Meteor Street. It can be said that they can kill whoever they want and do whatever they want, and the law cannot control them. Moreover, they have been in high positions for a long time and are used to being respected, but now, someone is shitting on their heads. But the problem is that so many heads are placed on the table. Even if the other party is obviously shitting, no one dares to speak. FK. What are you? Boom. The big gold tooth next to him was angry, and his fist with brass knuckles directly hit Liku. But Eisen Liku still sat there without moving and didn't even look at him more. Mental telekinesis. The invisible and terrifying power surged out like an invisible big hand, directly pressing him to the ground like a chicken. The long table exploded. Eisen Liku was still sitting on the chair. The big gold tooth next to him was pinned to the ground with his arms and legs spread out like a dead dog, with his ribs crackling one after another. The big gold teeth in his mouth broke and fell out one by one, with blood all over his mouth. The severe pain made him scream. The big gold tooth was instantly scared and stunned. He wanted to beg for mercy, and he regretted why he was so foul-mouthed. This habit of foul-mouthed killed him. But before he could say anything, he felt as if there was an invisible tree around him, twisting his limbs abruptly. Crack! Crack! In the extremely shocked eyes of everyone, the limbs of this person in charge showed a weird posture and were completely twisted, just like a twisted crab. Blood splattered, but not a drop could fall on Liku. Standing behind him, Erica's eyes were filled with unprecedented excitement and enthusiasm, and a faint blush could be seen on her tattooed face. So awesome. That's it. This new master of hers is the master she has always dreamed of. She was extremely excited at this moment, and was secretly glad that she became Eisen's subordinate. Even if she was a maid, even if she was a RBQ, it didn't matter. Then, in the extremely shocked eyes of everyone, Big Gold Fong seemed to be lifted up by an invisible crane and hung in front of everyone. Eisen Liku chuckled. Snap! He was like a watermelon, being crushed. Blood and minced meat were scattered all over the ground, falling in front of other people in charge, and there were even broken pieces of internal organs. warm, and beating. Ding. You killed the Meteor Street Elder. Genia. Ding. Automatic looting entry triggered. Ding. Congratulations on obtaining Enhancer Telekinesis talent. Purple. Mania. Purple. Boxing. Purple. Ding. Enhancer Telekinesis talent. Purple automatically merged. Mania. Purple crushed a sound like the sound of nature rang in Liku's mind. It's just SOSO. Enhancer has now reached red, a talent at the Grandmaster level, and purple talent is not good enough. But it's also the essence. It's good to merge more to push the progress bar. After the red entry goes up, it will be a black entry. As for boxing, it's useless. It doesn't matter to keep it. Maybe one day, when I come to the county, to create a boxing of my own. How about the 18 dragon subduing palms? The powerful Vajra palm? Liku thought to himself. The whole audience was silent. Every elder had an extremely ugly face. They didn't expect that the man in front of them was so terrifying, and he easily killed Big Gold Tooth in front of everyone. Although that guy usually has a foul mouth, his strength is definitely not to be underestimated. But in front of this man, let alone a move, there was not even a move. The other party didn't even make a move and was killed instantly. What kind of telekinesis is this? 100% telekinesis. But no one can figure out what this ability is because in this world, everyone has the possibility of awakening telekinesis. But the way of releasing is different, and the effect is completely different. Friend, haha, your strength has been recognized by us. But if you want to sweep all of us with such a tough attitude, I'm afraid you won't get what you want. Brandon, the old man, spoke directly. All of a sudden, the other leaders at the scene also reacted and stood on his side. The gangsters who heard the noise outside the door also rushed in. For a moment, there were hundreds of people staring at him, and there were still only 3 people in Li Ku's direction. It seemed that he was at an absolute disadvantage. It seemed that the large group of brothers behind him gave these leaders confidence. Damn it, you don't think you can coerce us by killing Big Gold Teeth? To tell you the truth, if you are willing to be a leader honestly, we can pretend that nothing has happened. If you don't want to, don't blame us for being rude. Brandon, my 10th district now agrees to join your army.
No more novels? Take part in the voting. The most requested novels and those with the most likes will be chosen for publication on euroaudiobooks.com. There, I can upload as much as I want without the risk of receiving a strike. Our 18 novels and other content that exceed what is morally acceptable are only published on Patreon or the free novels page. Remember, the site is funded by donations on Ko-fi and Patreon memberships.